special meeting minutes from February 9th, 2026.
We, yes,
Just
you don't
leave
need a soundtrack for the meeting.
Let's just leave it.
Does make it more soothing.
It does. Yeah, let's leave it.
Think about it, go ahead.
Item B4 is the approval of January 20th closed session meeting minutes, and those are on your desk. I do ask that we remove February 9th closed session minutes from the agenda. Those were not prepared and ready for tonight's meeting, so recommend removal of those. Item B5 is the exhibition of flags and banners on city flagpoles, light posts, and power poles. This is an amendment to our existing policy. During the January 5th, 2026 City Council meeting on the consent item and other business, it was mentioned that there was interest from City Council in a revision to this policy. And so attached are the recommended changes to the policy, which allows the city manager the discretion to consider banner or flag displays that are not included in the policy. And so you can see the amendments, there's strike-throughs, and then recommended changes in red in your packet. Item B6 is the police department requesting vehicles to be declared surplus and sold at public auction. There's a memo, and it lists the 3 vehicles that police department needs to declare surplus. Item B7 is the request to apply for the Enbridge Safe Community Grant, and this is for the fire department to replace 2 multi-gas meters. This is a non-matching grant. Item B8 is another fire department grant, the Assistance to Firefighters Grant, and this is to purchase bailout kits. There is a 5% local match. The total proposed project is $30,611.50, so the 5% local match is $1,530.58.
And that comes from an existing allocation in the budget, should it be necessary?
Correct, yes,
Yes.
the match would be in their equipment maintenance budget. It's included in their existing budget. Item B9 is the fire department request to apply for the Gary Sinise Foundation Grant to purchase a drone. This is a non-matching grant, and the drone amount is $9,865.02. Agenda item B10 is also a fire department grant for a FEMA Fire Prevention and Safety Grant. This is for the fire department to purchase the fire extinguisher training prop and associated instructional materials. The total cost is $20,000. There's a 5% local match, and that $1,000 is in their supplies budget, so they have that budget as well. Item B11 is the Minnie Brooks Act exemption public works sign shop. And so under North Carolina law, a local government may exempt itself from the Minnie Brooks Act, which means that the city would not be required to use the RFQ qualifications-based selection process for that professional service. And so Public Works is requesting the waiver of that. Item B12 is budget amendment number 13, general fund capital. The proposed budget amendment appropriates $5,950,000 from the general fund unrestricted fund balance to general fund capital purchases. And item B13 is the consideration of a facade enhancement grant for 140 North Main Street. The applicant is Melissa Humbert and Belinda Suddes. They are with a major William Chronicle DAR chapter for a mural at 140 North Main Street. This request is for $2,500 to fund the facade enhancement grant. The summary of action states that the Main Street Advisory Board has reviewed and voted not to recommend awarding this facade grant for 140 North Main Street. So on the consent, the council's vote during the consent is to accept that denial. Those are the 13 items on consent. So Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you for any questions.
Thank you, Miles, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Any questions for Miles on any of the consent agenda items?
Is now the appropriate time to ask for
Yes.
consent agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I will move to remove item 13 and place it on the regular agenda. I know there's quite a number of people here for that. Do we have any objection to doing it first?
Let's do it C2.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that.
And then just move all
the
that
other
down.
numbers
Yeah.
Down accordingly.
Would there be any issue with moving it actually to C4? Is that, I mean, we can do it at C2 if you want. I'd plan for C4 because I assume this is where it was going. But if you want to do it before public hearing, we can. Would you prefer C2?
Well, I was gonna do it, well, I mean, I just know they've got quite a.
That's
few
fine, yeah,
members, so
let's put it in
try to
C2.
accommodate
Okay,
that.
that sounds good.
So
Okay,
that's the new C2.
Yeah.
it will be, yes.
Okay.
Any other questions for Miles?
Just a couple. With the amendment to the flag and banner policy, if I understand that correctly, based on the amendments, council would have no involvement with any exceptions to the flag and banner policy. That would be solely within the city manager's ambit.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. And with respect to the Minnie Brooks Act exemption for the sign shop, why are we seeking an exemption?
Because we're moving forward with the project, and so instead of going through that process, it would take us considerable time to go through the RFQ process, and so it's budgeted for this fiscal year. We're already into March, and so we'd like to waiver that and go ahead and get that thing designed so we can expend the funds in this fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, if there's no other questions on any of the items, we will be amending the agenda to remove item B13 from the consent agenda and add it to the regular agenda as item C2. We will also be removing the approval of the February 9th closed session minutes from B4. So that will conclude our work session and take us into the regular meeting. So I will now call to order the regular meeting, the March 2nd regular meeting of the Belmont City Council. And I believe we have a guest here, Pastor Sam Warner, to do the invocation for us.
Thank you, Mary Jordan. Let us pray. Come, Lord Jesus, our guest to be, and bless this city council, staff, and citizens present, bestowed by thee. Blessed are you, O God, our living and loving and bountiful bread. May tonight's discussion shared and decisions made promote justice, mercy, and grace, the truly best food by which we all are fed. And during these challenging and deeply uncertain times, bless us, O Lord, with your Holy Spirit everywhere, and fill our broken and troubled world with your unceasing love and eternal care. For this I pray in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilman Jason Rumfeld will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, I believe we have some recognitions tonight. So we have a presentation from the ABC Board representatives. You want to come on up here? All right, and just a reminder, if you would, don't be shy. That mic does not pick up well. So if you would, get nice and close so that everybody at home can hear you.
I'm Marty Wright, one of the board members from the Belmont ABC Board, and I'm going to introduce Bill Montgomery, our general manager, who does a wonderful job, as you guys already know, because we have a quarterly distribution to make.
Yes, sir. We had a good quarter. It was for October, November, December of 2025. Today's distribution amount is $59,334.58.
All right,
Okay.
that's great.
Thanks so much.
Awesome, thank you.
It was good to see you again, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I will. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. Chief Falls, I believe you have something on the agenda here.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, it's my pleasure to present the Belmont Police Department Mighty Oak Award to one of our citizens. And I'm going to read what it says. To all whom these presents, may come the Mighty Oak Award, the highest civilian honor bestowed by the Belmont Police Department. It recognizes individuals who have demonstrated exceptional strength, character, resilience, and unwavering commitment to the safety and well-being of the Belmont community. Like the oak, the citizens provide a foundation of stability and protection for those around them. The Chief of Police of the Belmont Police Department does hereby bequeath the honor and recognition of this occasion for service going above and beyond the call of duty, hereby awarded to Pastor Sam Warner. If you'd just come up, Sam. I'd like to say a little bit more about the award. This award is presented to Pastor Sam Warner for acts of distinguished service and that transcend the ordinary expectations of a citizen. Through your recent actions, you have demonstrated a profound commitment to the sanctity and life and the security of our neighborhoods. Just as the oak provides shelter from the storm and deep roots for the soil, you have provided a canopy of protection for your fellow citizens and a foundation of trust with the Belmont Police Department. In testimony thereon, the date of the second day of March 2026 in the city of Belmont, North Carolina, United States of America. So I'd like to present this to you, Sam, for all that you've done for us and all you've done for the community, and keeping your doors open for us. Anytime we need something, you're there for us, and we appreciate everyone at the church as well, but especially you. And I can't stand up here without saying something about your pies. You love them as much as I do. Want to get a picture over here?
I don't know about that. Give Parksville
Council wants to join me?
Sure, absolutely. That's awesome. That is awesome. Thank you for that, Chief. We appreciate that.
Is there,
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
All right, I will entertain a motion to set the agenda as amended.
Motion to set the agenda?
yes. No, I mean, I'm assuming that includes moving B13 to C2 and removing February 9th closed session meeting minutes from B4.
That's correct.
As amended, yep. So moved.
Second.
Jason, and seconded by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the agenda is set, and that will take us to agenda item C1, public.
You've got to have a motion to approve the consent agenda as modified then. We've set the
yes,
regular
we did.
agenda.
You're
We've got to
correct. That is
approve the
correct. So
consent.
you want to make that motion for me?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as modified.
Thank you, Jim.
Second.
Motion made by Jim, seconded by Alex. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the consent agenda is approved. Thank you, Jim, for that. So that will take us then to agenda item C1, which is public comment. So I think it is always helpful to go over the rules for public comment, so I'll do that briefly. Persons who wish to address council during public comment period will register on the sign-up sheet. So if you're signed up, you will be here in front of me. Each person signed up will have 3 minutes to make his or her remarks. Speakers will be acknowledged by the mayor in order in which their names appear on the sign-up sheet. Speakers will address council from the podium and begin their remarks by stating their name and addresses. The public comment period is not intended to require council to answer any impromptu questions. Speakers will address all comments to the council as a whole and not one individual commissioner. Discussions between speakers and members of the audience is not allowed. Speakers will be civil and courteous in their language and in presentation and will refrain from personal attacks. Speakers shall not discuss any of the following matters which are in closed session, which includes but not limited to matters within the attorney-client privilege, anticipation of pending litigation, personal, contractual, or property acquisitions, matters that are made confidential by law, matters that are subject to public hearings. Action items brought up during public comment period will be at the discretion of council and may be referred to city staff for further investigation. All right, so with that out of the way, our first speaker will be Bridget Somerville.
Thank you.
And I believe the lights will show you kind of where you are on your time. Thank you.
My name is Bridget Somerville, and I live at 51 Bowen Drive in Belmont. I'm coming to City Council tonight to ask permission for Greenwood Cemetery to be included in the Wreaths Across America wreath-laying ceremony. When Wreaths Across America started in 2008, they now include all 50 states and military cemeteries overseas. This event will occur on Saturday, December 19th at 12 o'clock at cemeteries around the world. In order for the Wreaths Across America to list Greenwood Cemetery and to accept monetary donations for Greenwood and to have us listed on their website, the city has to approve my request. The city will not be accepting any monetary donations or need to do anything pertaining to this event, with the exception of picking up the empty boxes that the wreaths are delivered in. If the boxes cannot be picked up by Public Works, I will be glad to take them that day because I do not want them left at Greenwood Cemetery over the holidays. There are Boy Scout troops and Girl Scout troops that I would ask to participate to receive service project time, and I also plan to ask the American Legion Post 144 to help that day. I am not aware of how many veterans' graves are at Greenwood. In 1998, Keith Wilson's Eagle Project was to catalog the veterans' graves. There was documentation that was left at City Hall then. Since you've moved, I'm not sure if that documentation is still there. I would like to ask if you have any questions, if you could contact me about this. Again, the only reason I do have to have permission to have the wreaths delivered there. You will not have to do anything. It is strictly just to get Greenwood Cemetery on the website. If you don't know what Wreaths Across America is, there is a website, wreathsacrossamerica.org. If you've never seen the pictures, it is just a phenomenal thing. But I think that our veterans at Greenwood deserve this. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Somerville.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I know we don't normally comment during public comment, but do we know, is this an annual thing or is this a one? It's not a one-time thing. Is this an annual tradition?
It's annual, every December.
Yeah.
And Smith Cemetery was included in 2025. But they only had their wreaths on the black wrought iron fence. They did not actually have theirs on the grave. So we would want to put on the graves.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can we ask staff to look into that?
Absolutely, I think that would be appropriate.
And in what form permission, like, does it need to be a resolution or?
I'm
what
not
is it?
sure. I'll reach out to Ms. Somerville and get more information, then bring that
Okay.
back maybe for a consent item for
Sure.
approval.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for bringing that up.
Next, we have Mr. Ted Alexander with us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of City Council. I'm Ted Alexander. I live at 409 Beaumont Avenue in Shelby, and I'm in the North Carolina Senate, and I represent the 5 precincts up around Cherryville. But tonight I'm here as a member or the chairman, co-chairman of the America's Semi-Quincentennial Committee for the General Assembly. And I do appreciate the opportunity to come before you tonight. That committee is charged with working to promote and patriotic and unifying events and activities throughout the state. And I'm here, I want to commend tonight the members of the William Chronicle DAR for developing a very thoughtful design for their mural. They've been sharing this with me all along, and it's precisely the sort of thing, the sort of project that we're honoring, that we are hoping communities will undertake. Not only because it celebrates the birthplace of this great country, but also because it will have a long-lasting shelf life. It will be a continuous and attractive reminder of the foundation of our constitutional republic. And rather than just maybe say a one-time event, which is good and we want to encourage those, this is certainly a forward-looking activity or a project. So I want to commend Belmont for its downtown Main Street revitalization efforts over the years, and I know that this mural will add to the diversity and vibrancy of downtown. I really do remember well several years ago when I was director of the Uptown Shelby Association, we would share information with the early Main Street program here in Belmont, and I think that y'all have done an outstanding, really good job over the many years. And these kinds of murals, I think, have been incorporated successfully into downtown programs all over the state. They represent a diversity, a variety of musical themes, historic ghost signs, historical events. I know Cherville's done several recently, very attractive. And so I just say that Gaston County's been in the forefront of semi-quincentennial activities. If you remember recently, the Gastonia had the freedom monuments, charters of freedom monuments installed in downtown Gastonia at the Rotary Pavilion Plaza. Also, a book has been done about the Barnhart family, three-part trilogy. So anyway, I applaud the DAR and all those who have had a hard hand in the design and future implementation of this project, and I look forward to the inspiration it will elicit as we both reflect upon and carry forward the spirit of 1776 and our semi-quincentennial. And hopefully this will carry on through our tricentennial in 2076. I don't think I'll be around then, but I know many of y'all will. So thank you for allowing me to be here this evening.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Senator. Hey, thank you.
All right, next we have Miss Melissa Humbert.
We're going to come with a little show and tell here.
All right.
Mr. Mayor and council members, we really appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk with you tonight. I am Melissa Humbert. I am the Vice Regent of the Major William Chronicle, Daughters of the American Revolution chapter, and I would just want to take a couple of minutes and share with you who we are and why this mural project is important to us. The Daughters of the American Revolution was created by an act of Congress in 1890, and since then we've had over 1 million women who have been members, and today there's over 200,000 active members in the DAR in chapters all over the states and some internationally. We are a nonprofit, non-political, women's service organization, and we work toward 3 key mission areas. And this mural really does touch each one of those areas. The first is historic preservation. We want to preserve the memory of our patriots who fought and sometimes gave the ultimate sacrifice. We want to honor our namesake, Major William Chronicle, and the South Fork boys who were from this area. They were real, and they walked on the land that we're sitting here tonight on. Their lives and their contributions should be preserved and remembered and talked about and shared, and we feel this mural will help us do that. Our second mission area is education. We work hard to complete projects that will educate the public about our country's founding and the men and women who made it happen. This mural is more than just beautiful pictures from our artist, our local artist, Boyce McKinney, depicting Major Chronicle and the South Fork boys, but it's an important educational aspect. There's an important educational aspect to it too. We're going to have a plaque with this mural that shares who they were and why they were important. And we want to also add a QR code linking to more information to just say everything that they did for us. Why are we doing this? Because it's just not taught in schools. And we strive for the opportunities to share. And in that vein, we're also creating an America 250 essay contest, partnering with local high schools, and we're going to award scholarships to winners when we unveil this mural in June. And the last mission area that we have is patriotism. This mural is about America 250. It's about remembering and commemorating our local heroes. We want to celebrate 2 points in history. Obviously, the first is 1776 and the founding of our country, but the second is today, 2026, because we want to show that we still care. And we want to draw a line between those 2 points, and we think the DAR can do this, and we can do this with this mural. We just want to celebrate America 250. We want to celebrate our country. We want to celebrate our city. But we're a small nonprofit organization, and to do that, we need your help. And we appreciate your consideration and your support for our grant application. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Humbert.
you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
And you may not want to go far because I believe there'll be probably some questions. All right, so next I believe we have Lynn Smitty.
I'm going to talk a little bit about the South Fork Boys, under 3 minutes. So what do you know about the South Fork Boys? We know about 20 men who lived up and down the South Fork River, and Major William Chronicle, who lived not too far from where we are tonight, lived in this area. They fought in what would become known as the Battle of Kings Mountain, and at this point in history, the British were winning the war, and the morale was very low in the Carolinas. William Chronicle was only 25 years old, recently engaged, and if you know Colonel Frederick Hambright, he realized that William Chronicle had great leadership abilities, and he put him in charge of the South Fork Boys. British Patrick Ferguson was sent to the Carolinas to crush our patriot ideals. He threatened to destroy our crops, homes, and families by fire and sword if we did not kneel to the crown. On October 7th, 1780, 1,500 patriots from the Carolinas ended up at the bottom of the Kings Mountain battlefield. William Chronicle raised his hat, looked at the South Fork Boys, up to Patrick Ferguson up there, and said, "Face to the hill." And they began the first charge up to Patrick Ferguson. At that moment, Major Chronicle was shot and killed with a musket ball to the chest. And the Loyalists continued to shoot musket volleys down the hill and do bayonet charges. At that point, 3 more South Fork Boys were killed. John Maddox, who was William's best friend, and then you had John Boyd. He had just moved here from Ireland, got married, but he understood what this country could be, and he fought and died for our freedom. And then there's William Rabb. Sadly, we know nothing really about him, except that he's buried with Maddox, Boyd, and Chronicle at the bottom of the mountain at Kings Mountain. That Frederick Hambright, who had put William Chronicle in charge, took over the command. He was then shot 3 times, and his thigh was bleeding profusely, but he would not give up. He told the South Fork Boys, looking up at Patrick Ferguson, "Huzzah, my brave boys. Fight on a few minutes more, and this battle will be over." They did the final charge, and it was. Patrick Ferguson was killed. Their persistence to make this country free of tyranny rule is why we have the freedoms that we have today. Whether you were born here or you moved to Gaston County, this is our heritage. These are our ancestors. They're my ancestors. And this is why they should not be forgotten, because without them, America would have never existed. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, next we have Christine Radorian.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Christine Radovian, and I have the honor to serve as regent of the Major William Chronicle chapter of the DAR here in Belmont. Belmont's new motto or tagline is "Many Threads, One Community," and that phrase reflects the people of Belmont, their backgrounds, industries, neighborhoods, families, and shared history that have shaped this town. The Chronicle name is one of those threads. As you've heard from Lynn, long before there was a Chronicle mill or a Chronicle district, even before Belmont was an incorporated town, Major William Chronicle and the South Fork Boys were part of the fight for American independence. Their service and sacrifice are woven into this region's earliest history. More than a century later, when the textile mill was established in 1901, the Chronicle name was chosen and woven into Belmont's industrial history in recognition of his role in this region's early history. It has remained part of our landscape ever since. For nearly 100 years, our chapter has carried that same name. This mural is deeply meaningful to us because it honors the original reason it became part of Belmont's story. It makes visible the history behind a name that residents see every day. And it is encouraging to know that many in our community feel the same way. This effort has already received financial support from our members, Belmont residents, and Belmont businesses, a sign that there is shared interest in preserving and telling this story. We respectfully ask for your support as we work to bring this project to life, and we're grateful for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Miss Elizabeth Atterbury. Don't you worry.
You're on the clock.
No, I'm not. I ain't on that clock till I get there in front of it.
This is Liz's rules tonight.
That's right. Okay, now you can start. My name is Elizabeth Atterbury, if y'all don't know me. I live at 403 North Main Street in Belmont. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Mr. City Council people, for letting me come up here and talk and be funny. Okay, I'm here tonight because I serve on the Gaston County 250 Committee, and I gave you all a brochure. The committee has been very active in our county for the last year and continues through this year. We've got lots of programs and events planned by different entities, the library, the other museums in the county, and just lots of things going on to celebrate our birthday. And it will continue. Of course, one of the main things that happened in our area is the Battle of Kings Mountain. I'd like to read from what our brochure says. The Battle of Kings Mountain. The battle was the first major Patriot victory in the South following the British invasion of Charleston 5 months prior to May 1780. Thomas Jefferson called the battle the turn of the tide of success. This battle is reenacted each October at Kings Mountain National Park near the North Carolina-South Carolina line. The South Fork Boys, a group of militia from Lincoln County, which Gaston became involved, which included Gaston County, led in battle by Major William Chronicle, who was killed in action. In early 2025, the 4 Gaston County Daughters of the American Revolution chapters came together to host a highway marker unveiling in Belmont. Did you know, just as a little curiosity fact, I was doing a little research, that in 1930, Herbert Hoover spoke at the battleground of Kings Mountain. So it's a very important battle to the history of our nation. I'd like to just say it's appropriate that a mural be dedicated and painted on one of our buildings in Belmont, because this area, the young men came from this area, and the museum that I'm also involved with, the Belmont Historical Society and Service Treasurer, is located on land that was the Chronicle family land. And North Carolina
DOT thinks it's very important that that William Chronicle be recognized because we have a state marker located on our front lawn. So the Gaston County 250 Committee and the Belmont Historical Society hope that you will consider this grant request. Does that mean I gotta shut up? Before I go. Don't forget what tomorrow is. Vote.
There you go.
Done.
There you go.
Check that
Done.
out.
Thank you.
So I've seen some of you vote. I haven't seen all of you.
Thank you, thank you.
I'm gonna have a boring day at my precinct.
Thank you, Ms. Atterbury. All right, next, I believe it's MJ Forrester, is that right? I'm not hard. Mary Frances, that's right.
Watch your step there.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council, for allowing us, and I'm speaking in favor of the mural as well. For many of you who do not know, I'm the widow of Senator Jim Forrester, who served Gaston County from 1991 until 2011. As a 20-year member of the Colonial Dames, 17th century, I share a French Huguenot uncle with Dolly Madison. As a 49-year member of the National Society of the American Revolution, my ancestor fought with Francis Marion in the swamps of South Carolina, is married in Barnwell County, and his memorabilia is in the History Museum of Charleston. I was raised to believe that America was the most significant land of the free and the home of the brave. And it's fitting that we commemorate it with a specific element of that history. Belmont and Gaston County has numerous museums, historical societies, cemeteries, monuments, memorials, national holidays, heroes that we give credit to for this great nation. This DAR researches, does incredible authentication and verification by the national office. It is proper that we have a recognition, a specific recognition. Fortunately, the Major William Chronicle chapter wants to do this and present it to the town. The artist, the internationally known Boyce McKinney, has murals and frescoes internationally. I want to close my comments with American Creed, which was approved by the U.S. House of Representatives in 1917. As the American's Creed, it is also the DAR Creed. Would my DAR ladies stand with me and recite it? I had to recite this in the 5th grade. And 69 other 5th graders following me, 69 years of 5th graders followed me in having to learn the American's Creed, approximately, and it ended in 1962. Will you share it with me? I believe in the United States as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy and a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, for which American patriots gave their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies. Please consider this mural as a gift from the DAR to the city of Belmont and Gaston County.
Thank you, Ms. Forrester.
Thank you.
All right, and last, Stephen McKee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. So my name is Steve McKee. I live in Denver, North Carolina, but I'm also the state president of the North Carolina Society of the Sons of the American Revolution, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the William Chronicle Chapter DAR and their attempt to solicit funds for the mural in downtown Belmont. So one of the things that I'd like to do in my role in the Sons of the American Revolution is not so much talk about the what as the why. And that's what I'm going to do tonight, why this mural is important, not only to Belmont as a community, but really to North Carolinians as a whole. Irish novelist C.S. Lewis once said that since it is so likely that children will meet with cruel enemies, let them at least have heard stories of brave knights and heroic courage. And that's important for our kids to hear in a civic role as well as they grow and mature as American citizens, so that when we are gone, they then rise to the occasion to defend those very principles upon which the revolution was fought. And I know Senator Alexander mentioned the tricentennial. I will be a ripe old 96 years old if I make it. And so that's a tall order. So this is our once in a lifetime opportunity. It really is to really lay a foundation of information and things that our kids can see and be inspired by, and then go forward to become those defenders of liberty for the next 250 years. So as America celebrates its 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, there's going to be many ways to honor those revolutionary ideals that provided a solid foundation of liberty and the rights of mankind that this republic is based on. Art remains one of the more lasting ways that we can do that, right? It's visible, it's vibrant, it makes us think. And it tends to last a long time. The Major William Chronicle chapter of the DAR has proposed a mural dedicated to the South Fork boys. This mural will serve as a strong reminder that the actions taken by local citizens at the foundation of our nation, that certain fundamental self-evident truths still exist in these United States. Truths like we are all created equal, that we all have certain rights given to us by Almighty God that are inalienable from our common humanity. Defined the nation's soul and has inspired every rebirth of freedom that has ever happened in these United States. So we talk about women, right? The women at Seneca Falls in 1848 declared that all men and women were created equal. Abraham Lincoln, speaking on the fields of Gettysburg in 1863, asked Americans to rededicate their lives to those principles so that we could become that more perfect union where each and every one of us could enjoy the truths that were laid down in the Declaration of Independence. In 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, he's speaking to the promissory note that the Civil Rights Act was there, or the Civil Rights Movement was there to declare, and that's this particular promise from the Declaration. So many threads, one community. This is the story of all of us as Americans. It will be a lasting impression, and it will make a great addition from Belmont to the citizens of your city and North Carolina, so I stand in support. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Mr. McKee.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. All right, no one else has signed up for public comment, so that will complete our public comment section. That will take us to amended agenda item C2, which is consideration of the facade enhancement grant for 140 North Main Street. Miles, I believe you said staff is prepared to.
Yes, I have Cassidy Lackey, the Community Development Director, who is part of the Main Street.
Thank you.
Board.
Perhaps
Cassidy?
as Cassidy makes her way up, we can frame
Sure.
what we're doing here tonight for everyone.
Please.
This is an application for a facade enhancement grant, which would be, and Cassidy can explain the program, but it's up to $2,500, which is out of an amount budgeted to the Community Development Department for facade enhancements, basically improving buildings. It can be awnings, doors, windows, as well as murals. But we're not here to approve or disapprove a mural. The mural is going to be on the building of 140 North Main Street. The property owner is free to do whatever he wants with the building. We're debating whether and we can talk about what the total project budget is, whether the city will give $2,500 in city funds, which would be matched by the applicant for this project. But we're not here to say yay or nay to the mural. We're just here to discuss whether the city is going to give $2,500 towards the erection of that mural. The owner is free to put it up regardless of what happens here tonight.
That's absolutely correct. Thank you, Jim, for clarifying that, the position that we'll be undertaking this evening. So, Cassidy?
Well, that was 3/4 of my presentation.
Jim is good at that, I'm not going to lie.
So, as Jim noted, in a couple of different ways, the Facade Enhancement Grant Program is available to commercial properties within the Main Street District. We've got the grant amounts there. It can range from $500 all the way up to $2,500. Since they are matching grants, that means the applicant has to spend that amount or more. The process for these, they're reviewed by the Main Street Design Committee first, then the Main Street Advisory Board, and then this comes here to rest finally with the City Council. Two things that I do want to note about those groups, they are, for the committee and the board, all volunteers. And so at the design committee, we've got artists and creatives, and then the Main Street board are the folks you guys appoint, as well as, I just also want to point out, Jim and Joe are both known members of the Main Street Advisory Board. As they'll be voting here tonight, both abstain from voting as part of the Main Street Board process, just for some technicalities. So here's just a quick timeline of everything that the applicant has done as part of this process. So we started back in November. We didn't have a design committee meeting in December, so January 15th it was reviewed. After that, some discussion amongst the members. A group wanted to get together and to meet with the applicants to see if there could be some changes made that might make it more amenable to the design committee and the very broad guidelines that are in your packet. I included a blank application for you guys to review. So the applicants and the property owners very kindly met with us, and we had a lovely discussion, and they very quickly made the suggested changes and then came back to the design committee, which we'll get to that feedback here in just a moment. But it then went to the Main Street Board and has landed here again with you guys this evening.
And
not again with you guys, but
just to clarify, one of the changes that were made had to do with the lettering of Belmont in the mural, that the design as originally proposed used the Belmont trademark logo and word marks without the city's consent or permission, and so for copyright and trademark reasons that needed to be modified. Is that correct?
correct. So here was the initial design that they proposed. So some of the feedback in that meeting with the applicants and the property owners, we discussed removing that official city logo, and then discussed, taking that plaque, since we do have plenty of those physically around, and it's a lot of text if you're reading kind of from a vehicle passing. A mural's, sometimes, not always, but intended for viewing from a vehicle rather than a pedestrian standpoint. So some of the groups suggested maybe taking that and actually having that sign, that plaque there next to the mural, to then allow for a little bit easier inclusion of a QR code, and then allow for more room for the artistic elements there for the mural. So within a week or less even, they moved quick. We had design number 2, which they showed you here, which led to just those changes that we discussed.
So if they accommodated all of the requests from the first meeting, what changed? Unless you're going to get to that. So I know we're stealing your thunder here.
No, I don't. No thunder here. No, thank you. No, it just, with such broad guidelines in the Facade Enhancement Grant Program and having such creatives in these volunteer groups, I just feel like they express their point of view. A lot of artists, none of them had any issue with the general content of the mural. The artistry, everyone thought was very well done, visually stunning, as noted there. The artist was local, everybody appreciated that. So at a true content base, no issue. It's just when we broaden, with this kind of limited scope, and murals has been a very small sort of addition. We sort of just added a footnote to this when the program was adapted. We don't really have mural-specific guidelines, as you see, for more historic preservation. If you're reappointing brick surfaces or things like that, we've got pages of Secretary of Interior standards that we'd have to follow. For the murals, we don't have that built into this application.
Were these considerations discussed at the meeting with the applicant and the building owner, or was there, and obviously, it's hard for anyone to speak to their understanding, we're not them, but was perhaps there some disconnect if they thought that all they had to do was change the lettering of, and the word mark of Belmont, and they would get the blessing, or was it discussed that these were other concerns?
These were comments that were provided at the second design committee review.
Okay, so were these ever discussed with the applicant?
Not in detail. We knew that they were up against if we do more changes, we're incurring more fees. And since the decision ultimately rests with council, they just decided to move it up the flagpole, so to speak.
All right, anybody have any questions for Cassidy?
Not so much for Cassie. I know my colleague mentioned a moment ago, Councilman Heffernan, that this is not really the time that we would offer up any personal thoughts or commentary on this. I mean, procedurally, just for my own edification, it's not like this is a public hearing. So why can't we offer up personal thoughts or feelings about this
I
item?
don't think I said.
Or maybe I misunderstood you, I'm sorry.
I think you must have misunderstood.
Okay.
I don't think I said that at all.
I think that would be fine. I think the issue is they, and the applicant can speak to this perhaps, but the issue is they are now, any further changes are going to incur further charges.
No, I heard that part, but you're, when we set the table up front, before Cassidy started her presentation, you had mentioned something about that it was basically just to decide whether or not council wanted to approve
To
the
give
grant.
them $2,500.
Not whether it was a good idea
Right,
or.
right. Well, not, I set the stage to that. It's not to, like, whatever we vote today, it's not to approve or disapprove the mural. It's to decide
Sure.
whether we're going to give $2,500 on the facade enhancement. So what I'm trying to say is, even if we were to say no, and I'm not saying that's what we're going to decide, that wouldn't preclude the owner of the building from proceeding
Sure.
with the
Sure.
you know, the mural can still go up.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, are they going to get $2,500 from the city to do it? But they're free to do
Okay.
whatever they want.
I'm sorry, I
So,
misunderstood you.
Yes.
I
mean,
apologize.
we can, if you look at the policy, it even says, the city council reserves the right to accept or deny any application for any reason. So we can opine and do whatever we want by the express terms of the policy.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that clarification. Could you put those considerations back up, Cassidy, please? It was the last one. So I know Mark and I got to see this presentation from the Chronicle chapter of DAR in the Tourism Development meeting recently, and we were very impressed. And I think it's a wonderful addition for what we're all looking to celebrate this summer. Just I know the artist himself is actually very renowned. He's done work at, I think, most of the Paramount parks and some work with Disney, and so that's certainly not a question. And I like the changes that were suggested. I think that hopefully incorporates the message that they're trying to convey. I would be fully in support of this. I did have one question. I don't know if this is for you or for the applicant, but is the applicant the William Chronicle DAR chapter, or is it because it was listed in the application as the
I
individual.
believe the
that would-
names were those applying on behalf of the organization.
Okay, so if the grant were approved, it would be to the organization?
Correct.
Correct? Okay, just wanted to clarify that. That's all, Mr.
Thank you. Anyone have any other questions, any discussion, further discussion on this?
Let me ask, so there was the one meeting after the initial denial, and then these considerations were addressed, and obviously Joe and myself can attest to some of that because we were there. But there was no meeting with the applicant after the second denial to discuss any of these reasons? Okay. All right. And then I'm just looking through the policy itself, and like you said, one, it says the city council reserves the right to accept or deny any application for any reason. I'm also trying to find, well, what's the standard? Like, it's very vague. It talks about grants are subject to a fair and impartial review of the merits of the project, completeness of the application, availability of grant funds, and other factors, and facade should be in harmony with the character of the Main Street district. Is there any further guidance as to how we go about assessing these items.
No, and as I mentioned earlier, these are so broad, I feel like that was part of a struggle for the group is it would be nice to have more to lean on.
And I would ask this is what I want to ask. So I think in their application they said that they worked with the Belmont Historical Society, local historians, the Sons of the American Revolution, and various reenactors to achieve authenticity of the look. Is the mural historically accurate?
I can't speak to that.
Can we have the applicant can come up?
Thank you. Let me first say that we have really enjoyed working with Cassidy over these many months. We actually started this process last June to capture exactly what you're asking about. How do we get to that accuracy? And we have had several iterations. You saw the two, working with various historians, working with Liz, working with Kingsbury Artillery, working with SAR, DAR chapters, and asking, the authenticity of the look of particularly Major Chronicle and the South Fork Boys. So we feel that at this point it's very accurate as far as depiction. There are a couple of things that we are still going to modify that Boyce can do fairly easily when he's actually up on that boom lift painting, because Major Chronicle was part of the militia. He was not part of the colonial army, so he wasn't double-breasted in his coat, and we're going to correct that. But other than that, historical accuracy.
And that was very important to you to depict it
Absolutely.
historic.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
You might have mentioned this, I apologize if I missed it, but they have applied to the Tourism Development Authority for additional grant funding. Have you all made a decision on that? Or?
That's at the next
I think
meeting.
we're voting on that this month.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, our process there is to hear it 1 month and then vote on it the next month.
Yep.
And my last question, generally these matters are brought by either the building owner or the tenant, and obviously the applicant here, the DAR in this case, is neither, so would that impact like how this would work in execution, should the grant be provided?
We don't have anything in the guidelines that say how it can be paid out, and while they are not the tenant, it is noted in there that if it's a tenant situation, they supply a letter from the property owner giving permission, saying that they're in favor of, which they did supply.
Yes, and the property owner is here
Yes,
in the audience.
agreed.
Yes. All right, duly noted. Thank you.
Cassidy, can you go back to that slide? I'm sorry, I asked you to bring that up and I never finished my thought with it, but the,
I was giving you something
did
nicer.
you get any additional color or commentary around some of these points that they made, or was this kind of the extent of it?
Being that this was almost 2 months ago, I don't want to try to color any of that.
Sure.
This was pulled from our meeting notes where we just jot things down as they go.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do that. I do want to highlight there was absolutely no slight intended to the mural design overall.
Sure.
For what it is. Because they noted a lot of one moment in time. Well, that's sort of the purpose of the group and what they're
Yeah.
highlighting.
Yes.
None to the.
Also in America, 250
Yeah,
is
that's
250 years
kind of a
ago.
big one.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
But not to the group, to the artist, to the property owner, any of that.
Yeah. Well, I know that for council's reference, I know that they mentioned the other mural in town that references William Chronicle. I think that's on the parking deck at the Chronicle.
It is.
Which is kind of down. It's not nearly as visible as this.
Correct.
But I know it does incorporate at least one reference to William Chronicle,
And
albeit
Kings
one
Mountain.
that's maybe a little more difficult to see than this one. So, and I think it's also a little more abstract, whereas this one is
See
more.
the same thing.
Yeah, this one is definitely more, specific. There's no mistaking, who that is, especially with the verbiage that's incorporated there. But yeah, some of the points I was just wondering if they offered any additional commentary on, but I'll take your word that.
I will say, having, and Joe can probably also attest to this, having sat in those meetings, at least some of them, they, the individuals involved in the discussions are proceeding in good faith and trying to, ensure that downtown Belmont looks as good as possible, and like Cassidy says, obviously they mean no slight or disrespect, but that is, again, they're operating in good faith, whether me or Joe might ultimately agree with all of the reasons set forth or not. They took the task very seriously and spent a fair amount of time discussing it back and forth in different aspects of it. So
It certainly did.
And I don't know if it makes a difference or not, but at the committee level, attendance can vary. So some people may have seen it the first round and not the second, or vice versa. Not the case for the majority, but something to note.
Anything further for
I
Cassidy?
think the applicant
Oh,
had
yeah,
something she
okay.
wanted to say.
Yes, please come on back up.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a comment about these bullet points. When we met with the committee to get that initial feedback that drove us to make the couple of changes, we specifically asked at the end of that meeting, are there any other concerns? And we were told no. And we asked, is the money still going to be available? And we were told yes. So those were the last two questions we asked during that meeting. And then we actually got this feedback sent to us. We looked online and saw it as part of the public record, and we were kind of surprised, and we got the specific feedback just a few days ago. So we've been kind of looking through these concerns and feeling like we probably didn't convey our message well enough in that meeting, which is why we invited the folks here tonight, and hopefully we've addressed some of those concerns. For instance, is this a duplicate? Yes, there's a beautiful, beautiful mural on that parking garage of the Chronicle Mill. It's stunning. And it does say the back panel as you come around, and it's only going to be seen if you drive down there into that garage. It does say Major Chronicle, but there's no context to it as far as the educational purpose. And education is one of our pillars. So that's why we feel that we do have a very distinct mural, and it can benefit the community. And some of these other comments, does it kind of fit into the many threads of the community? We think that it does, because this is our heritage. These are our ancestors. We have many people in our community that can trace their lineage back to these folks. So they're part of our thread, and it's important that we continue to remember these folks and carry them on in the future. I always say America 250. I don't say the big long word that Ted said, because I always mess that up. But we feel that it is so very important to remember the 250 years and look back to our local Belmont heroes. And if there's anything else that you'd like me to address, I'd be happy to do it.
Any other questions for the applicant?
I just want to say that if what we just heard about the way that the applicant was treated and the guidance that they were given or were not given, if that's accurate, I have an issue with that.
I have a big issue with that.
And I personally, I don't agree with any of these points of consideration. In fact, I take issue with several of them. I know we've got great volunteers, and believe me, we could not do what Belmont does without our volunteers. But I'm just saying, for me personally, I think the applicant has done more than what the typical, facade enhancement application may ask for, in my view. I can't speak for the rest of council. But I just want to put that out there that I think they've done a great job with what's been asked of them. And so just for staff
I will
direction.
say that, again, having been in the meetings, certainly the intent of the Main Street Board and its committee members was to provide this feedback to the applicant, and there were discussions about having meetings with the applicant, and I wasn't involved in those because I was out of the country, but I do know that I think Joe was, and so I know that after the first decision that prompted, yes, let's reach out, whether it's to Mr. Cromlish, whether it was to the applicant, let's go and talk to them, let's make sure they understand, let's work with them. Now, what happened after that meeting, what was understood by the parties, there seemed to be a disconnect, but certainly from the perspective of the board and the members, they were very much, we want to convey our concerns to them, and it might have ended up being lost in the translation.
Yeah,
perhaps
I would
even-
agree with that. I think we were really clear up to the point where we had the meeting, the in-person meeting, then where that feedback fell in between the two. I don't know if it was a timing issue because council meeting tonight, it was able to come up on our agenda tonight very quickly and essentially just make that final decision, or whether it was lost in translation, as Jim says, where that ended up. Apologies if it fell that way, but that's why we're
That was not
here.
the intent of the board.
Yeah,
The
that was
board very
absolutely
much
not the
wanted
intent.
to
Yes. Yeah, but that's why we're
convey-
here right now, is ultimately to bring it up to make a final decision for them.
Can I offer a motion?
Sure, absolutely.
I'd like to make a motion to grant the $2,500 to the applicant for the mural.
All right, motion made by Alex, seconded by Charlie. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so the grant passes. Thank you. Thank you.
Great mural design,
Yeah.
by the way.
And just let me say real quickly, thank you to everyone that came out tonight in support of that. It is very helpful when we hear from the community to be able to make these decisions. Also, thank you to our Main Street Board that puts time in for these things, and everyone's involvement. Obviously, we're able to come to a final decision here. Congratulations.
I would agree with that, and I do want to, again, having sat in on those meetings, they were operating in good faith everyone is trying to do what they think is best for the city of Belmont. And so, in my mind, while I try and, me and Joe both sit in on the Main Street Board and DBDA meetings, and we want to respect their efforts and their work. However, I would just note that the policy is very vague on what exactly the standards are. And it expressly says council has a right to accept or deny any application for any reason. I can't say I agree with all the concerns that were expressed, but they took the time to express those concerns. But at the end of the day, I'm not an art critic, and there's nothing in the standards, I think, that
Speaks to that specifically.
speaks for anything that this mural runs afoul of, and so therefore I would also vote as I did to approve the mural.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, Jim. And just as a point, it may open up a broader conversation as I'm sure we're moving into more supportive arts and seeing more murals coming up that it might make sense at some point to address.
Yeah.
If we're going to
Yeah, I don't-
continue funding it through the facade grant, which is fine.
Like, I'm not going to sit and judge artwork. There's nothing wrong with it under the
Sure.
policy, so.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think it would have been beneficial for some of the feedback to be more specific. Like, for example, I don't really know what makes the mural not welcoming. That seems very vague and gauzy. Like, if you're gonna reject something for that, I think it'd be good to have specifics. It's not welcoming because of X,
Right.
or it violates this principle, or whatever.
Or it's counter to our tagline.
Yeah,
Many-
like, I wasn't really sure what that meant either.
Many threads, one community.
So, like,
One would say it was the beginning of the thread, right?
yeah.
And as we stated, at least let the applicant know this criticism ahead of time.
Yeah.
All right. well,
Sorry you guys had to go through that.
I'm sorry? Sure, yeah, if you, Laura, you want to grab those from her, and we will make sure those go in. Thank you.
We appreciate all your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, with that complete, we will go ahead and move to amended agenda item C3. That is a public hearing, economic development for Project Family 2025 amendment to the incentive grant amount. So I will take a motion to go into public hearing.
Motion to go into public hearing.
All right. Second. Seconded by Charlie, made by Alex, seconded by Charlie. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we are in public hearing. I believe we have.
I'll take it over.
Yep.
Yep. Thank
Miles,
you, Mayor.
turn it over.
Members of council, we have the members of the Gaston County EDC. We have Kylie Sharp and Parrish Williams here tonight to answer any questions. But from the summary of action here, that you can see that Project Family 2025 was a project for an incentive grant that the EDC brought to you all on September 2nd, 2025. And you all unanimously approved this project. It was for an investment of $4.5 million to expand an existing operations in Gaston County. It included the purchase and installation of additional machinery and equipment, and anticipated creating 30 new jobs at the annual county average wage. When we were going into the economic development agreement, there were some changes that the EDC brought to us, and the amount had changed from that $4.5 million to actually $8 million. The change is $3.5 million for investment for machinery and equipment, and it also included a building expansion at an estimated cost of $4.5 million. Given that the agreement was over that initial amount, I requested, and talking with our city attorney, that we go through this process again to have a public hearing, bring the EDC before you all again, and just to go through it so that that amount is the actual amount that the grant is for. I did advertise the public hearing in the Gazette on February 5th, 2026, so that meets our general statutes.
And Miles, real quick, just to let for the record, no one signed up to speak.
Okay, good. Thank you, sir. And so they also have included in the packet here the Gaston County Local Incentive Grant Estimate. And so I'll turn it over to the EDC if they'd like to fill in any blanks that I've missed.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Miles. Good evening, everybody. I'm Callie Sharp with the Gaston County EDC. I serve as the project administrator that oversees the grant program. Miles really filled in all the blanks there, but just reiterating that it's an existing industry looking to expand their operations. This was previously approved, and they just changed their project scope a little bit, increased their investment plans, including building expansion and more purchasing of new advanced manufacturing machinery and equipment. So we would just like to revise that amendment to reflect it more accurately as we go kind of into the economic development agreement, into fiscal and budgeting and all that kind of thing. So the company still plans on creating those 30 new jobs, and they will still meet that Gaston County average wage. So here to answer any questions you might have about the project, grant process, amendment, or anything.
So what did we originally approve? We approved a level 1 incentive grant, was
Yes.
that correct?
Still a level 1.
So it's
Yep.
still level 1,
Mhm.
all the different percentages each year
Yeah.
stay the same. The only
Exactly.
thing that has changed is the amount of the total investment.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
you all, the city attorney felt that because of that, we needed to go back through a public hearing again. I'm just, so the only thing based on what we already approved, the only thing that's changed is instead of investing, what, 4.5 million, they're investing 8 million?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a significant amount.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
not only the city attorney, the city manager, I think, as a matter of professional credibility, wanted to make sure, just didn't want to
Okay.
sign off on it. So
Okay.
this is the council decision, significant amount of money difference, so there, ergo, that's
Mhm.
why we're here.
So, yes, but the percentages and all that.
Yeah.
So how, did the
Well,
county?
the other thing that changed was now we're talking about additional building expansion too, not just machinery and equipment.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it'd be personal
that
property
kind of
and real
changes the
property now.
characterization of the calculation too, right?
Mhm.
With depreciation.
The building footprint expansion was not in the original.
It was not in the original scope that was
Okay.
previously communicated.
Okay. And was an economic,
Still have to go through all the planning.
right.
But it changes the math a
Did-
little bit.
Did the county, what did the county do following this change in scope? Did they do anything?
We did not do that on the county level.
Okay.
Considering it was still a level 1 incentive,
Mhm.
everything kind of gets grouped into that. A lot of times the original anticipated investment isn't what it ends up being. So as long as it stays within that level 1, we usually don't alter our,
Okay.
amend our resolution.
And
resolutions.
has an economic development agreement actually been entered into yet?
No.
Okay.
We wanted to get this done
All
prior
right,
to
because
that.
that would have been, I'm like, well, then
Mhm.
just amend the economic development
Yeah.
agreement. But if it hasn't been.
We
That
have
was the
not.
point.
That was,
Yeah.
that's how this initiated.
They brought it to
everything.
me, and the amount was $8 million. I said, hey, they've only approved $4.5 million. I'm not signing it. Let's go through the process again
Yes.
so that y'all are aware.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood, thank you.
So is the change on, are they increasing the real estate side or the machinery and equipment?
The change was mostly just to the real estate side, so including that building expansion that was not previously communicated in their project scope. At first, it was just machinery and equipment. I believe that was 4.5, and then, or
It was
3.5 for machinery and equipment.
and then tacking on their building expansion plans for 2026.
Yeah. Initially, the amount was 4.5 for machinery and equipment. The new one is 3.5 for machinery and equipment, and then the 4.5 for the property. So it did
Right.
change the amount there as well.
Okay. Okay. And this is a 5-year grant?
Yes, yes.
Do you know when the break-even year is on when the taxes that we make off of this project net out to what we invest in this project?
That's a great question. Miles did include a spreadsheet that kind of shows the breakdown of the year by year. I'm not sure exactly. We can get that information to you,
Well, I
though, if you'd
calculated
like
it
to.
at 9 years.
Okay,
So
okay.
which is 4 years after the grant ends.
Sure.
So in theory, if they ceased operations in year 5, we'd never turn a profit, so to speak, on this deal, right?
Right. And I mean, the good thing is it is an existing industry, so they're already here. They seem very committed to staying here. Expanding a building and investing in machinery and equipment is also, an incentive for them to stay here as well, so.
Well, how do we know what we're doing here is, like, I guess what I would come back to with this is, how much of this is us just subsidizing a business decision that's already been made versus actually changing behavior?
I mean, it's a good question. That kind of goes into the psychology of the grant itself. Happy to share our grant program overview as well with you, which kind of goes into detail of why we do this. It's to induce more investment, to induce creation of jobs, eventually create a larger tax base for the county and the city, and for just long-term growth for the existing industries and expanding industry coming into the county.
Okay, and you said that the jobs are being paid at the county average wage?
Yes,
What is
yes. As of the resolution last year, it was like 54 parish. I might refer to parish for that one. For 2026, yeah.
I mean, we are in Belmont, so I want to look out for the taxpayers in Belmont. I'm just wondering how, on a $54,000 annual wage, someone in Belmont could afford to work at this place. Like
Again,
just-
it's the average wage, so not every single position would be 54, so there might be higher paying jobs,
Yeah,
there might be
no,
lower
I
manufacturing.
understand that,
Mhm.
but as far as like,
And this,
for ex-
yeah, and this industry is already in Belmont, so they are operating, at this level consistently and have enough incentive to grow and add more jobs, so hopefully they will find people in Belmont to fill those.
well, if you use the standard rule of thumb, if you go out to rent an apartment or take out a mortgage on a home, 30% of your income should be used for housing. Anything above that is considered stressed. So that works out to $1,300 to $1,400 a month on that salary.
Yeah, and the resolution just states that it meets or exceeds that average wage. It doesn't say that that's the actually average wage that they will be offering, but I can get that information for you if you'd like that
Okay.
too.
Well, I mean, just based on my numbers, you'd have to make about, because the average rent in Belmont's about $2,200 a month, which is crazy because it wasn't anywhere near that when I moved here. But that would work out to an average salary of around $80,000 or $90,000 a year, which is significantly higher than $54,000. So
Right.
what
Yeah.
I'm kind of concerned about is that all of these jobs, such as they are, would go to people who don't actually live here.
Okay, right. And they are manufacturing jobs, so that will also kind of be proportionate to a manufacturing salary that you see
Well, I
in
understand
Gaston
that. But, like,
County.
I mean, I guess,
I understand.
don't misunderstand what I'm saying as
Yeah.
far as, like, I don't want them to be here. The
Right.
question isn't, should they be here? It's kind of like what we were just discussing. Should we pay them to be here?
Well, so just my thought process on that. So the majority of the increase was for real estate expansion, right? For the real
Yes.
estate expansion?
Yeah.
Yeah, so In the event, worst case scenario, the business was to go belly up, the real estate side would still be, in my opinion, it would be safe. That should increase, but I do agree with you on the business side. And it is concerning to think that we would be giving tax dollars for people that can't afford to be in Belmont.
It is a little lower on the scale than what we typically see.
Yeah.
But that's on average. Again, that doesn't specifically speak to this opportunity and what the opening is. She's just sharing what the average is in Gaston County.
No, I think that was the
Right.
average for the jobs, right?
For this specific one? I thought it was just
No.
the county average.
We always state that in the resolution to show that that's a priority we make when we offer incentives, is that the average wage must meet or exceed the county average wages.
So we don't necessarily know what this project average.
But again, I could potentially get those numbers to you if that's something you're interested in.
And could we require that as part of the grant?
I'm not sure about that.
And remind me, because with the grants, we always give it the code name, but for some reason, I thought that was just if it was a new business that was trying to come here. Are we not privy to who this company is, since they're already an existing facility?
In this setting, and when it comes to a resolution, we try to keep it under code name until we hit that economic development agreement stage. That's just the process it's been that I've come into as well, so.
Was it discussed the first go-round?
No.
The name was not shared. Yeah.
Y'all asked
Okay.
the same question last time.
Okay.
Yep.
Not in the same, basically same answer.
And they have you have the same 5-year period to add the 30 jobs, is that right? Or they do, rather?
Yes. Their goal is actually to add those within 2 years, so.
And whatever portion may not be reached within 5 years, that's when you get that pro rata.
Yeah, it's not
proportionate.
contingent on jobs, but, you know,
Right.
just depending on their investment and
Yeah.
the net new taxable value that comes from it.
So what is it contingent on?
The net new taxable value.
So all they have to do is invest the money.
Yeah, and the grant they get is solely based off of the qualified net new taxable value. So they could say they might be investing 8 million, only 4 million shows up on, you know, the increase in property value. That's what the grant's based off of. So they'd get that 90% that first year.
And it's, just to make sure I'm reading this right, the new amount, total amount, the grant amount from Belmont's $96,760?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
Not, the new grant amount total over the 5 years from Belmont is $96,760? Am I reading that right?
Yes, I do not have the spreadsheet in front of me, but
Yeah.
I believe so,
That's what I
yes.
see, yes,
Okay,
sir.
that's
right.
right. Just make sure I'm looking at it right.
And that was an increase from the original approved amount of 57.
57, thank you.
Since this company's already here, have they received a grant in the past?
I believe so, yes.
So we've incentivized them to be here before, and then the goal of this program is to get them here so that they continue to invest in our county. But if every time they come and want to make another investment in our county, if we just give the tax revenue away, like how, I'm just trying to wrap my mind around that.
Yeah, understood. I mean, it's for new companies and existing companies, you know, to incentivize to keep them here, to keep growing, to keep expanding, and to keep adding jobs.
Look, manufacturing's hard. Margins are thin. Try to produce in the United States. I work for a chemical manufacturer. We have a lot of plants in the United States. And it's the same thing. We go through this with the counties and the cities all the time for the retention. I mean, there is a positive contribution to our city to have manufacturing in our community. It's jobs. It's not even maybe they don't live here, but they're going to shop here. Maybe they eat here, right? So, and rather have a live manufacturing facility than a building sitting vacant, right? To Joe's point, there's a substantial amount of the real estate investment. If this company did go bottom up, those positive contributions to the real estate will still be here, unless you're just going to pick it up and move it, which probably wouldn't happen.
No, I get
right?
that, but like, it's like, eventually, like, when do I get to benefit from this?
Right, when do the
It's
taxpayer
kind of like
get the
the
benefit?
rather coarse way of putting it.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm constantly having, every time you expand, I waive the property tax, at what point do we make money on that project?
But what's to say then in that instance, you need to know what have they already contributed? Do we know any of
Well,
those
this is what
datas?
kind of
And
drives me crazy about not knowing who they are, too, is, you know.
It's a fair point.
I mean, I kind of feel like if you want to stick your hand into the government till, you kind of waive some of those rights to privacy that, you know, a business would typically expect. But I think I'm a minority view on that. But
I think it would be helpful to understand what is the average wage for this ask, right?
Yeah.
Not just the
It's-
county.
I don't
because
think it makes sense to subsidize wages at $54,000 a year. Like, if you want to make that kind of money, come work for me, and I'll sit here delivering pizzas. Like,
Sure, come on.
So, Paris Williams, Business Improvement Manager here at Economic Development. Those 30 jobs, they could be 100,000, 90,000, 80,000. The average wage is just that, if that makes sense.
yeah, it's average $54,000.
Yes, but not every person's gonna be making that. So like one person could be making 80 grand a year, the next person could be making 100,000. We can give you those breakdowns.
Or 28.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
below the 55.
Yeah,
I mean, that
very
average kind of
accurate, yes.
papers over quite a bit.
Yes, no, very accurately.
I mean, you could have 40 people making $30,000 a year and 10 people making whatever.
And we're happy to get you those breakdowns. And the reason that we do the code name is because a lot of times we're under NDAs. So for you guys to be able to know, we would have to get you guys under an NDA. So,
Well, we don't know anything right now anyway, so I don't know if that really changes anything.
Well, just to pause it on a bigger conversation, Miles, can we not add that to our process to get council under NDAs before we start approving these? Because to Mark's, I mean, there's context associated with this that would be extremely helpful.
I mean, I think you can. You think that'd be appropriate to have all the council members under NDAs in the future?
yeah, we could definitely ask the company.
Yep.
Have any other jurisdictions operated like that?
They have not.
All right, thank you.
You don't know that we're different here, Jim,
Hmm?
in Belmont?
Do we have any other questions for the presenter?
I know a lot of times when companies come, you know, the EDC comes to us and it's like, you know, they want to move quickly. So I don't know if the NDA process will slow a company down from being recruited at all. I don't know if that's a complication in the process at all, but we could
Well,
could
this
always
one's
ask.
not being
Yeah, that's what I
recruited,
was-
right?
this one's already
They're already
Yeah.
here.
established.
Yeah, for sure. This one would be easier. I'm just
Yeah.
saying overall, if you put that in for all the grants, it might
Well, I think the
be
NDA would
cumbersome.
be like a case by case, right? And you would have either the EDC or the applicant determine whether or not that was something they were willing to offer,
Yeah, it would be case by case.
right? It wouldn't be sort of carte blanche. It was.
Yeah.
But I do think that in this case, I would like to have that additional.
Yeah, particularly since they've already received a grant in the past, like,
Any other questions? Any other comments? We'll have opportunity to discuss it further here in just a minute. So thank you for that. We
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you, guys.
Well, if there's no further questions on that, I will entertain a motion to come out of public hearing.
Motion to come out of public hearing.
Motion made by Alex,
Second.
second by Charlie, and all in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, we are out of public hearing, and that will take us on to amended agenda item C4, which is discussion.
Yeah, C4 is the amended resolution for this project.
No, yes, that's right. Yes. So do we want to discuss further?
No.
Sure.
well
Or
said,
I'll
Mike,
make a
yes,
motion.
so.
We've already approved it, now they want to come invest more money and
That's where my mind's
give them a
going.
harder time.
We
so.
approved it, you're absolutely right, and now they want to expand their business.
By a large sum.
Yes.
Yeah.
I understand your points, absolutely. I think that's a good point, and it's something that needs to be made, and it's something that people will need to understand and hear when we're dealing with funds that aren't ours.
Yes.
But also, I know that we want to see business thrive in Belmont. We want to see people continue to make investments in Belmont, and that hopefully is not going to change. You know, hopefully that's something that ramps up and we see more of that. If there is a process, maybe that makes us more comfortable, I'm all ears, because I do, personally, I will be selfish and say that I do want to continue to see that type of growth here, because those tax revenues are so important. And if you think about today's climate, let's talk about what's going on at the Senate, or you know, at the state level. We're talking about losing funding to some some big tax revenues. We've seen some states get rid of property tax, which is, that's a big hit to local municipalities.
Well, I think we all want to see that business investment continue here for a lot of reasons. But I think we also, to Councilman Seelinger's point, I think we need to have, in this case for me, I mean, you certainly have to give credence to, the taxpayer's dollar too, and are we using it responsibly? For me, I would like to have a little more information, as has been requested tonight for this particular matter, for me to be comfortable with it.
Well, that brings up a good question then. Do we want, what's the time frame on this? Is this something that has to be decided this meeting, or is this something that we can table for another meeting until we get additional information? Or do we want to decline as is and
And is it possible to get that additional information?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to defer to the EDC on like the timing of it. Is the company ready to move forward at this point?
Well, the existing level 1 would be approved, right?
Yeah.
It's just changing whatever
Yeah.
the incremental.
Yeah. Well, it's not even, in terms of the resolution, it would simply be changing the total amount of the investment. As a practical matter, the percentages would yield, if everything goes according to plan, the percentages would yield different amounts than originally envisioned, but, the resolution doesn't say anything specific to change that I can see from what we've already approved, other than the second paragraph, which says it's going to increase the total investment to $8 million, whereas I would assume the original one said $4.5 million.
Because it doesn't delineate between machinery and equipment versus building expansion in the resolution.
Right, yeah. I mean, it doesn't envision any specific dollar amounts that would have to be changed.
Right. So we would just be tabling the resolution. Right? Miles?
That we,
If y'all like to table the resolution and get information regarding like the salaries of the workers that they plan to hire for those 30 jobs, and if you all would like to see what the company is and the county's okay, maybe the business is okay with it, just to like share that information without an NDA.
I would
we
also
can do
like
that.
to, me personally, I would like to see the first incentive grant they got.
The first one, okay.
Yeah.
Not the one that we, September 9th, but the very
Yeah,
first one that the
to my
company
understanding,
received.
they've already received one. Okay.
Okay, I'll bring it back once I get all the information.
All right, so we need a motion to table it?
We need a date, yeah.
I think that April will be fine, to table it to April. We can always, if we don't get all the information.
April
Okay.
6th? All right. So anyone want to make that motion? Defer until the April
Should we reference
6th
the agenda item
meeting?
number or the actual title of the resolution?
I don't know if that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'll make a motion to postpone item C3.
Amended
C4,
C4.
sorry, amended item C4 to the Monday, April 6th regular meeting.
Motion made by Jason, seconded by Charlie. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, it does carry, so it is postponed. All right, thank you. All right.
As a side note,
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
but I know we have an economic development policy sitting somewhere on a shelf that's like 20 or 30 years old. Maybe it would be a good idea to pull that off the shelf and workshop it at some point.
It's a good idea.
I think that's a really good idea. And obviously, we know, Mark, you don't want to say new, but rejoined.
New-ish.
But I think it's important, too, for council to come up to a direction similar to what we talked about at the retreat for developers, right? We've talked multiple times, what do we want to incentivize? Manufacturing piece of jobs. What are we trying to potentially steer away from? potentially large distribution centers, warehousing. So again, I think it's probably a good workshop item that we discuss that, because to the EDC, I'd feel bad for you guys to continue to come to us and bring us light manufacturing, and then, it kind of becomes a speed bump into the road, right? So.
I can bring it back. I think our existing grant package that we have mirrors the counties, and so if there's going to be any change, then we can show you what that is, and then y'all can make recommendations on the changes y'all want to see. But I'll put that for a future workshop.
Thank you. Thank you, Miles. All right, with nothing further on that, we will move on to amended agenda item C5, lobbying contract recommendations. Miles, that's you.
Yes, I have a couple tonight. Thank you, Mayor, members of council. During the January 20th City Council workshop, I sought direction from you all regarding council's desire to contract with another lobbyist. And the direction was that I reach out to Representative Loftus and Senator Overcash for their short list of lobbyists, narrow down the list, and then make a recommendation to council. I did receive 2 letters of recommendation from Loftus and Overcash, and they both recommended Nathan Lewis with Pine State Strategies. I also met with Mr. Lewis and separately, then the mayor and I met with Mr. Lewis as well, so that we could get a good understanding of Mr. Lewis and his personality, and see if he could work with the city. And so I have in front of you tonight Nathan Lewis, where he can introduce himself, and the consideration is to contract with Pine State Strategies as the lobbying firm, and Nathan Lewis as the lobbyist. And we currently have in our budget $2,500 per month already budgeted for a lobbyist. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Lewis.
Got a quick intro. Good evening, Mayor and members of council. My name is Nathan Lewis. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all tonight. I own and operate Pine State Strategies, lobbying firm based out of Raleigh. I've got 8 years of experience in politics. I've worked on campaigns from city council to U.S. House, all different levels, run grassroots, campaign manager, everything. I've got 6 years as a lobbyist, a state liaison level, and 2 years private. Also familiar with Belmont area. My wife was a coach at Belmont Abbey for 6 years. We lived off of South Point Road about a year, and then I moved to Raleigh in 20. But really just want to take questions from y'all, and I appreciate y'all's time and look forward to working with y'all.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Lewis?
Oh, but you're probably glad you don't live on South Point Road.
You're going to help us with that.
That's why we need a lobbyist.
We lived in an old mill house, and the landlord let the floor fell through, and there was some squirrels coming in the house. We liked it because we went to the lake, and it was right near work, so it was nice.
Yeah, I don't want to cut you off there. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right, I do want to share. So that's Miles said. I was able to spend some time with Mr. Lewis, and I was excited to hear about his love for Belmont and his the fact that the way he operates, it is not a situation where he will have conflicts of interest when he's bringing Belmont forward into in front of people to ask for funding. It's us, which I think is huge. That there's only that solo focus for us. And obviously, things move forward. We want to keep you a busy man. And we want you to be busy. We want you to be up there knocking on a lot of doors, talking about a lot of Belmont. So I'm excited for the prospects there.
What kind of experience do you have lobbying the General Assembly specifically?
In what?
Well, just like as part of your practice.
I've appropriated a couple $100 million. I've passed several bills. I've got a great relationship with Senator Alexander. I was hoping he'd speak up for me too. But yeah, I've got my 6 years, and I've just been in the GA a lot. Been a lot of changes, and you'll learn that Raleigh's very relationship based, and I've got a great relationship with your delegation, and hopefully get the lots of money that y'all want.
If we can get a
Gotta
budget.
get a budget, that's
Yeah.
right. Can you help with
Yeah.
that? Can you help them with that?
Who do you represent, or do you represent? Entities or municipal? You said he does not.
Yeah, this would be my only municipal.
Okay.
And I'm fine with not operating in the area. I do want to pick up my hometown, a little 2,000 people town back in Four Oaks, but nothing around here. I represent a firearms manufacturer. We are doing some, we're trying to get a community college budget ask, a couple other education clients. I've got an ABC client, but it's a pretty small shop. It's just me.
How do you feel, just, this is not necessarily specific to this conversation, but a little bit outside of it. How do you feel the current climate is for the next few years with municipalities in our position that are seeking funding for infrastructure upgrades? Everybody's got their hand up, everybody's jumping up and down needing something. What do you feel like is that thing that will set Belmont above the other people that are jumping up and down?
It helps having a layer of accountability, especially with me. And there's not that many of us that have municipals. I think there's probably 60, 50. But this year's Helene affected y'all, right? So
Yeah,
I mean,
got a lot of rain.
Minimally.
yeah,
not
minimally, not
certainly
compared to out
anywhere
west,
near,
but
yeah.
that's a huge hit. And compared to, we've got the drama in the Senate, the drama in the House, but infrastructure is usually top of the list. So having an accountability in Raleigh kind of helps move that along. Yeah.
What would be your plan of attack for like the first couple months?
Well, I think it's going to be sitting down with Overcash and Torbett and Loftus and you two and I guess the rest of council and kind of seeing what is your top 10, your 5, your 3, kind of what we can do, and me and Overcash can go in Raleigh and kind of see what's reasonable now, and at least start kind of dropping the seed now for long session next year.
How's your relationship with our legislatures outside of like Donnie and Brad and those folks?
It's kind of case by case, but I think that I've got a great relationship with all the appropriations folks, Brenda and Jones in the House. There's just so many of them. But I'd like to say I'd have a really good relationship with a very good amount of them. Yeah, we're going to need, your general appropriations folks on both chambers are very important, and I've kind of, sowed my roots there for the past few years.
I did share with Mr. Lewis our past budget request to the state, and of course, like some of the projects that we had on our CIP list that were like high priorities, and so that's what we kind of talked about during our two meetings, was that we've got a lot of needs. Help us break down what you think that we could get approved at some point, and so it's really like looking at the full list and then breaking it down and then bringing that back to you all to say, hey, here's the top, like you say, in the top 10 projects, and then we narrow it down even closer, to get that top 1 project hopefully funded. So we talked about that, and if you all decide to move forward in this contract, is to really kind of nail that down, because I think we're kind of almost to the point we probably need to start scheduling meetings to go to Raleigh and talk to those folks. I think probably in April, I think is what I heard.
April, mid to late April is the start, so we need to be great to be there within the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, so we'll be hitting the ground running if that's the case, looking at the projects, making sure that y'all are comfortable with those as well.
Did, maybe just one more from my side, did we reach out to Mike Hager as like a reference or anything like that?
I did not.
Okay.
And this would be the same monthly rate as we were paying Mike Hager?
Yes. So Mr. Lewis sent over his contract late last week to me, and that is the amount, $2,500 per month. So it's the same amount that we were paying Hager.
I know both Brad and Donnie both told me the same thing they told you, that Mr. Lewis does come highly recommended. He was top of their list, and with that.
All right, any other discussion? All right, so I think, go ahead.
Is there a term on the contract? I didn't see that in there.
Yes, so what I've asked Mr. Lewis to do is to give me a contract between March to June 30, and we'll pick those dates up, and then we'll fund next year's contract. So it'll be like a recurring contract yearly, and that's what we were doing with Hager as well.
So the intent would be to renew it during the budget cycle?
Yes.
Okay.
And what's
Fund
in
it to fund it first, and then, of
Well,
course,
right,
like, yeah.
right, yeah,
And then
yeah.
to renew the contract on that budget.
So I guess maybe this is a good question for you. Like, when we get to that point, like why would we, like, I guess as far as accountability goes, and like, why would we re-up the contract?
Like, what are the KPIs?
Right,
Yeah, what's
right,
your
right.
performance
Like, what should I
evaluation
be looking for you to do between now and then to say, yeah, we should re-up
Well,
with this guy in 4
Yeah,
months?
hopefully when we have our meetings and we get good feedback, and hopefully we get a budget, and, because if we don't get a budget, no city gets.
I was going to say,
I
probably the
mean,
next
I'm
4
gonna
months
do
is
all
not
I
the
can,
best
but-
trial window.
I know, it's a
Yeah.
tight window.
But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be, I mean, we'd love to select whoever to come to Raleigh and come hang out, and we'll go and have the meetings we need to have, and feedback is, if there's terrible feedback, then we'll just cut our ties, but if there's room that, we can get these things in the budget, this either short or long session, then I'd say the ROI is there.
Okay.
Just to be clear, what my understanding, what's in the agenda packet is not the contract, it's a proposal that if we were to, the motion would be to approve the city manager entering into the contract with the lobbyist. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. Thank
So he would start work theoretically like next month-ish?
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
Tomorrow.
if I can look through the contract and have our attorney look through it with me to make sure we're comfortable with it, then execute it as soon as possible. So I would anticipate that to occur hopefully by the end of the week, if not next week.
And I'm fine with adding the no Gaston competition, if
Right.
that's, I'm fine with that.
I'll make a motion that we allow the city manager to enter into a contract on behalf of the city of Belmont with Pine State Strategies to serve as our lobbyist, effective immediately.
All right, motion made by Jason,
I'll second.
seconded by Jim. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, carries. Thank you for that,
Thank you.
Nathan. Look forward to
Thank you.
working with you.
Good luck.
Scotts Point
Get that
Road,
budget. Get that budget in place. All right, all
We're
right.
encouraging it.
All right, so this will take us to amended agenda item C6. So Miles, is that you again?
Yes.
All right.
It's the Miles
The Miles show,
tonight.
that's what I was just thinking. It's the Miles show.
I'd rather have, well, I'm not going to say that. Liz has already gone.
So this is the NCDOT property transfer discussion.
Correct. You all kind of read through the summary of action, but I've kind of outlined it so we can go through that real quickly. So Belmont Trolley's been hard at work to plan the trolley barn, and has been working with the city regarding the agreement. And we initially proposed, or the Belmont Trolley initially proposed, like a 3-party agreement between the trolley, the city, and NCDOT. The location of the trolley barn initially was going to be on that NCDOT property, and that's the parcel that also includes our Glenway Street parking lot and that dumpster area. So there's one parcel that kind of makes an angle, and we have some pictures up here we can show as well. So the city does lease the portion of that lot. We don't lease the entire thing. So in September, City Attorney Wilson and I reached out to NC Rail just to bring them up to date on the project and discuss like what these agreements are going to look like moving forward, given that we have a potential trolley barn on NCDOT property. Through the conversations that we had with them, it was found out that if anything is constructed on NCDOT property, that they have to go through the state construction office along with anything that the county and the city also needs to approve. So there was multiple conversations that we had with NC Rail, me and Parks sitting in my office many times talking to those folks, and they have been fairly reactive to us. They've done a good job. You hear horror stories about NCDOT, but NC Rail I think has really been responsive to us and our questions. And one of the conversations we had when we were on virtual call, and they also had an attorney on the calls, was that there was the potential for a property transfer, and it's allowed by general statute. And so given that they spoke, intergovernmental property transfers is allowed by general statute. And so, given that they mentioned that, we jumped on it and said, hey, that would probably be a great option for the city, given that we already have a parking lot, we have a dumpster pad, and we have a potential trolley barn. Of course, our rail trail ends at that point, and anything in the future that we want to construct there as well. Our planning department is going through the Mobility Hub grant right now, trying to figure out how that property will interact with the city. And so after a few discussions, I sent a letter of interest to NCDOT Rail, and it's in y'all's packet, about the property transfer. They told us that they had to take that to their leadership team first before they could actually take it to the Board of Transportation, because it, in general statute, also states that the Board of Transportation has final approval for this. And so they really needed to get the leadership team on board. They did that, and then they informed me in Parks that, hey, it's a go. And before I said, let's go to the Board of Transportation, then that you all were not aware, or you all didn't agree with this property transfer, I didn't want to ruin a relationship with the Board of Transportation, so I said, let's put this on the agenda. So I slowed NCDOT down a little bit, just to make sure that y'all are aware of what this thing can do for us. Along the way, Rob Presley's here with us tonight too. I asked him if he could attend, that way he could speak on behalf of Belmont Trolley if you all would like, but he also included a letter of support inside the agenda packet, given that he thinks that is, and his board thinks that that's a good option too, that it just makes better sense for the city to own a strategic piece of property where Belmont Trolley is concerned. So really the ask tonight is to give approval for me to go back to NCDOT and say, yes, put it on the Board of Transportation agenda. They told us it would probably be April, I believe is what they said, Parks.
With 100 items.
With the, yeah, they said typically this is a consent item, and they said the Board of Transportation has, you think our consent's long?
Wow.
They said there's 100 items, and typically that's just, they've got the leadership team approval to put it on the consent, so typically it's like a checkbox for them. That's what they've kind of told me in Parks, but, so that's.
At our level, there was just 2 of us, and there's always been like 10 of them.
Yeah.
But you could just see this thing was gonna get bogged down and bogged down, and if we had to go to the state construction and all that process, it was gonna be not even much years. So this option about acquiring title seemed to be good for us, seemed to be agreeable to them, and so I'm in support of that.
You know, I am shocked that NCDOT is not a nimble and adaptive organization.
Hey, they're giving us a piece of property.
Yeah,
I was going to say,
do whatever they want to
kudos
do.
to Miles and
That's
kudos to
exactly
Miles
what-
and Parks, because that's got to be the cheapest property that Belmont's ever acquired.
Jason, I was about to say the same thing. Hats off to you
Yeah,
gentlemen for
no
seeing
kidding.
that.
Good work.
I mean, that's not something that just happens,
No.
for sure.
So they're basically gifting us the property?
It's a property transfer. Now, there'll probably be, if we ever do anything other than what they want on there, we'd probably have to give it back to them, but yeah, it's gonna be our property, so.
Maybe you have
no
a
takes and
future as
backsies.
a lobbyist.
What's that?
Oh,
Maybe
those
you
are
have
the
a
kinds of
future as a
meetings I would
lobbyist.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, go to
I
this
just jumped
meeting
on it. They
and we want
they
you
offered
to
it up, so
wait
we
and see
jumped
what
Always
they say
aligned
about
with
this
this
agenda.
guy
item.
right
Telling you, it's good
Yeah,
stuff.
that's all right. And then I
Just
go
real
to the meeting,
quickly,
it's like the
Rob, I would love
103rd
for you to come up and
item
just
on the
tell us
agenda.
briefly about why this is, this simplifies things tremendously.
Yeah, I'll be brief. Rob Presley, President of Belmont Trolley. Man, what an amazing coup.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. I'll tell you a quick story. In Matthews, they had a public parking facility like this, and they had a long-term lease, just like you do for your public parking facility. Matthews' lease was about to expire. They went to DOT and said, we'd like to renew our lease, and DOT said, sorry, we've already signed a new lease with a paid parking company. And so Matthews lost their parking lot to a paid parking company who now collects revenue from the parking lot. So it made me nervous 6-8 months ago when I heard that. And this, I don't want to discount Parks and Miles I mean, this has been amazing what they've done. But I got to tell you, NCDOT has been a real champion of our trolley project for 10 years. I mean, they welcomed us 10 years ago with open arms and said, we love it and we want to see it happen. What can we do to help make that happen? And the rail guys have started realizing, man, if we're ever to improve that property, whether with a trolley barn or mobility hub, that we have to go through the construction office, and the massive amount of bureaucracy is insane. But here's the bottom line. Trolley benefits. Hey, we're building a building that we're giving to the city to be a downtown event center. So how great is it that this building we're going to give you is now sitting on city land and not some lease that has to be renewed every so many years? It cuts the red tape on us building the building. We can deal directly with the city, planning staff, and the county to get our building permits pulled. The mobility hub thing, I've sat on that mobility hub committee. Wait till y'all see some of the stuff that's come out of that. That's in itself's amazing. The parking, it secures downtown parking in perpetuity, assuming that the city wants to continue to have it there. It lessens complications for everybody involved. This is the head of the thread trail. When we're done, the thread trail, the head of it starts right here, and the trolley barn has been designed to have restrooms that could be used for men and women who are not only attending trolley events and events at this building, but also the thread trail people. I mean, diapers need to be changed. People need to stop and use the restroom. The last thing is this, to me, one of the reasons we've always loved this site is it's the deadest corner of downtown. And by activating this site with trolley barn, thread trail, mobility hub, now we've all of a sudden taken the deadest corner of downtown and made it one of the liveliest corners of downtown. And for you guys to be able to own this land, it's exceptional. As to the comment about the approvals going to the next, it's a consent item, but so you know, we have, assuming that you guys were going to approve this gift, we have gone ahead and we have a relationship with the chair of the North Carolina Department of Transportation, and we've put word up to him that this is on the consent agenda, and it's a really big deal for Belmont Trolley, and I would assume the city of Belmont as well. So.
I kind of had a couple things. Our first meeting, we had 10-14, 10-29, 11-12, break for Christmas, 121. That was a big one. They came in and said the rail division has agreed to give tentative approval to the leadership to move forward with the transfer, and it would be a transfer without consideration, Councilman Seelinger, and there would be a reversion if the city didn't use it for transportation services. And that's the qualifier that we were talking about. And that this state statute that allowed for transfer for transportation purposes between governmental units, they like that flexibility, and we liked it. So that was the history of it.
Well, we'd also own the parking lot now too, right?
Yes.
The whole
That's what I was going to
Are we
ask. With the
paying for
drawings,
that,
the
or-
way it's situated right now, the barn, how much of that parking lot, if any, do we lose? None? Okay.
Yeah,
And there's an opportunity with this, and because of some of the things we're doing with planning staff and the Belmont Trolley.
We were gonna
to
add
actually square
spaces.
this up and add
Yeah.
some parking, potentially add charging stations.
Hey, Laura.
What's going on.
So even
Advance
that
the slide.
corner, we're not really losing.
There you go.
Yeah, so, no, and so, see, the opportunity exists, this is the delineation line, that
Mhm.
Belmont Trolley is always intended to use the back of the property,
Right.
not the piece you already have.
Mhm.
And as you see, because of some old tracks that are here, we're pulling those up as a part of this. These tracks used to go into downtown, and y'all remember where the trains used to sit downtown?
Yeah.
That's never going back down there again, it stops here, so these tracks are all gonna come up, and, the city has paved the way to be able to square up their parking and actually make this a better parking lot. When you see the mobility hub, not to steal Reagan's thunder, but when you see the mobility hub, there's the ability to add trees, lighting, linear park space down along the side, and make it really a gateway, to the thread trail and to the trolley, so you will not be losing anything. Can you go back to that last slide? I wanna show you one other thing that this helps. If you can see, Chronicle Mill has this little piece of triangle that sticks into the property here. This is causing us a problem because the tracks and the engineering for the rail tracks, we have to make these on grade with the trolley barn when it comes in, and it's actually crossing the corner. I talked to the churches and Amada Hoffler about this triangle, and they have verbally said, look, we're willing to do an easement, we're willing to even do a quitclaim deed for this triangle so that we can square this up. It helps the thread trail and the trolley by doing that. Well, if the state owns it, who do they deed it to? I mean, if the city owns it, we just deed it to the city, and now the city cleans up their property line.
Mhm.
So that fixes our problem
Thank you, Yvette.
That's why Yvette makes the big bucks.
Thank you for that, Rob. We appreciate that. I think that's it gets me excited when I hear. I mean, that's a gift from the railway. Doesn't happen very often, from my understanding. So that's great. And then what Belmont Trolley is looking to do is exceptional as well. So we're excited about that.
Thank
Well, let's accept it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
Do
say. So I think essentially what we're looking for here is going to be a motion to approve the acceptance of the property and for NCDOT to place a transfer on the upcoming Board of Transportation agenda.
I'll
So
make that
moved.
motion, and I don't know if we need to allow Parks and Miles to negotiate if there's any other further negotiations needed?
Sure,
Or is it all?
you can add that in.
Okay.
Sure. All
Yeah,
right.
for that piece of from the Chronicle property.
Yeah, I guess.
Do we
That way
want to
don't have
add
come
pursuing
back
that?
for that.
Separate, so that's be
I
separate.
think
Okay,
that would be
we'll-
like more direction, right?
Okay. All right, so we'll keep that separate. So Alex, you want to stick to that original motion? All right, motion made by Alex,
Second.
second by Jason. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that will be added to the
Good job.
upcoming transportation,
exciting.
Board of Transportation
Great job,
agenda.
Miles.
It's a
Good
great
job,
job,
Parks.
everyone, on that.
Great job.
Rob, again, thank you for your time. Please pass along to the trolley board our excitement. All right, so working our way down. So that will take us to amended agenda item C7, the McLeod Avenue traffic calming request. Chief? We're all ears.
I come before you again tonight as a continuation of the January 5th meeting. I plan to recap the January 5th meeting and give council an update through the traffic calming process for McLeod. Just an overview of what we touched on before. McLeod Avenue extends from Main Street, Downtown District to Keener Boulevard, NC 273. It's a primary residential street consisting of townhomes and a few everyday residents and now business. This is McLeod facing west. This is the intersection that the direction was given to concentrate on for the possible and potential traffic calming measures of stop signs. This is how everything got started. A resident HOA member from Hawthorne neighborhood reached out to staff in reference to traffic calming measures for McLeod Avenue due to speeding and safety concerns. A three-way stop on McLeod Avenue and Hawthorne Park Avenue was suggested as a solution. Staff explained the traffic calming policy to the resident along with the petition requirement. Staff reviewed the traffic calming request and determined McLeod Avenue qualifies under the current adopted traffic calming policy. And this is just briefly about the 75% of the owners or lots on the street, which are where the devices will be installed, including any owners of the cul-de-sacs that intersect with the streets for which traffic calming devices would be requested, would have to sign a petition. This is about the petition. This is how many residents. Of course, there's more, and I'll get into that a little bit later in the slides. There are actually more because we included some other ones under council's direction. This is our findings. Police staff conducted a speed study on McLeod. Staff from the police department, public works, and planning department evaluated the results of the study and performed a site visit. Based on the results, there is a moderate number of motorists speeding. It was determined a high traffic volume utilized McLeod Avenue as a cut through. This is the results, just an overview of the speed study. And as you can see, I'd like to point out that 85% of the vehicles were traveling at a speed of 35 miles an hour or slower, and the speed limit is 25, and that's based on the 85th percentile. And out of 17,666 vehicles, 6,217 exceeded the speed limit by 10 miles an hour. All findings were presented to City Council with proposed recommendations at the January 5th meeting for project approval. City Council gave staff direction and continued any decisions until a future meeting. Here we are. Move forward with the traffic calming process at only Hawthorne Park Avenue intersections closest to Main Street. I think part of that was because of the walking trail comes down to that particular intersection versus the other more towards Keener, plus there's a little bit more of a grade at the other intersection as well. Contact the petitioners with clarity on the proposed location of the stop signs, since we narrowed it down to one to make sure there was a clarity on their part as actually which intersection we were speaking to, as to where the signs may go. Have staff provide a sketch of the proposed three-way stop at McLeod and Hawthorne Park Avenue, which I'll show you in just a minute. Don't include pricing for pedestrian crossings on McLeod, since the proposed, I guess, development or whatever was going there is not going to happen. And I think it's actually stated in one of the emails that I got back from the HOA member. Update the project cost estimate to reflect other changes that reduce significantly, and have finance update the budget amendment and with the updated proposed cost, which I believe is in your packet. The action plan, staff reapproached the McLeod neighborhood contact and discussed including the other residents, the New York Butcher Shop facing McLeod. Input is necessary before moving forward. Tom Spada, HOA, approached the requested residents, the Butcher Shop, and he gave an update to us by email. I got that from Public Works. It was forwarded. The owner of 175 McLeod, named Amy, agrees with the proposed traffic calming measures. The owner of the restaurant agreed. Antonia agrees. The owner of 100 Bryant did not respond, left a note and information, but no response. And also, this is from Tom to us in his email. It says, it is of little consequence which intersection the city uses, either 141 or 139. Let's talk about the addresses related to the intersection to create the three-way stop. Each is about halfway. There is a note that they declined to sign the petition, but they were willing to give verbal feedback as to agreeing with or not. Here's a sketch plan. It's a little bit more improved from the last one we had. It's a little more clear as to what the plan is. It shows where is a stop sign ahead. One thing to note, on the right side of the screen where you're coming down McLeod towards Main, we chose to put the proposed stop sign past the first intersection as far as the stop ahead, so no one would be confused on where to stop ahead at. It would be past the first Hawthorne Park Avenue. And then you had the McLeod and then the stop lines. As you see, all the things that were staff gave staff direction on has been taken out as far as the blinking solar activated lights, excuse me. We chose to take them out for a couple of reasons after going back and reapproaching the intersection. It's really shady down there with a lot of trees, and we were unsure if it was going to be an effective measure. I know in Craverton on one side of, I think it's Main Street, down by the old school, one works a lot of times, the other one don't really work because there's a big oak tree there. So we chose as a recommendation to retract the blinking stop signs, and that reduced the cost a lot more. And as you can see, we chose on the left side of the screen where the stop ahead sign would be. And this is not to scale, but there are recommendations under the transportation, I believe it's MUTCD or whatever, as to the locations and the distances from the intersection. All of that will be followed when the signs would be installed by Public Works, and they're very familiar with that. Yes, sir.
Regarding the lighted signs, did we say, I don't get down that way a lot, but down near you guys in McLean, those new signs and the pedestrian walkway, are those lit on New Hope?
They have the blinking lights.
They do, but they're not, you're saying they're not really reliable?
Well, not in this particular case because of all the trees.
I see.
The canopy down there kind of blocks the sun.
I see.
We sort of ran into that with the speed limit sign that you have on Keener Boulevard at one time, because when it's really cloudy or it rains a lot, we noticed that the sign didn't work going northbound on Keener. And there's not as many trees there as there are in this location. So after we discussed it a little bit more, we chose to not move forward with that just because it's a large expense, and we weren't sure if it was going to be reliable for this particular location.
Is there much existing lighting right there? I can't remember on McLeod. Right there.
As far as street lights, there's some decorative street lights, but as far as daytime, it's just very, as you can see, I don't think this really reflects it really well here, but there's a lot of trees that were planted and stuff, the canopy.
So you don't worry about visibility without the
Not worried
lighting?
about visibility.
Okay.
It's a long straight shot coming down the hill, and it's about halfway on the road either direction.
Okay.
This is the revised project cost estimate.
Last time we had, I think, an extended conversation about the crosswalk.
Yes.
Are we not doing that?
No. As was noted with that, it would be the crosswalk to nowhere, considering the sidewalk is on the side of the road as the Hawthorne Park neighborhood.
I couldn't remember where we landed on that.
Yeah, the development that was proposed, in the email that we got back from Tom, he said that he spoke with someone in that project from whoever the developer was, I'm not sure. And it said it was, I think he quoted it as within certainty of 250%, that's not going to happen at this point. Before. So we chose, I didn't put that in there, but since you asked, I'll give you that data.
The property across the street, you mean?
Yes. And so this, I believe this was, don't quote me, but I think this was somewhere in the 9,000, little under 10,000 range to begin with. So there is a substantial reduction, and I think it still provides a lot of traffic calming measures for the speeding issues out there, because this has been something. Before it was a 4-lane road. I personally, in the early 90s when I worked here before, wrote many people speeding tickets. And just this week we've wrote some citations on this street, even though, you know, it's been narrowed down to 2 lanes with the parking on the street. So there's been some violations where we had to write tickets this week. And it is staff's recommendation for the city council to approve the project as presented. The other thing I'd like to add is through some discussions with the city manager and all the other people who are involved in this and all the stakeholders, we chose to come up with a traffic common policy checklist. I think that week there was a couple of different checklists created, so this was just one of those to kind of be a little more informative about the actual process. And so we took the traffic common policy and it's in your packet, I believe, and we did a lot of check boxing and the basically articulation as to the reasons why and what we did, so that it reflects what the policy is, and the policy was followed to the point where it specifies what we did and the action plans that were involved. I was hoping Jim really liked that, so.
Well, I do appreciate that.
He was nodding. And smiling.
So yeah, and the process moving forward is to continue to keep the traffic common policy checklist as we do things. And I thought it was really more efficient, and everyone did. So we did that to ensure the process is followed the way it's supposed to be, step by step, and that we come to a resolution of it. So.
Well, when I teach law students, show your work. So that's good. Very
I understand.
Yes.
I've been in front of many lawyers over the years, Jack. I understand. So I'll just tell you a brief story about myself. I got really good at DWI cases because I was at one time here early on in my career as a traffic officer under a Governor's Highway Safety Grant. And what I did to improve my abilities is I used to sit in court after the court cases, and I listened to the troopers talk about what took place, and then I created the DA had a sheet that they went by asking the questions, right? Typical ADA stuff. And so then the attorneys would ask certain questions. So what I did was I created a cheat sheet, which is still used in several different agencies that I worked in. I created a DWI checklist, checklist, I guess, to where I actually went down step by step through the DWI process. And just at an event I just went to, I talked to an attorney, and we were talking about it and discussing how, we never lost a case together because of that. So efficiency matters, and that's just want to tell you a little brief story. But I got really good at DWI cases because of that checklist, and all of the stuff was on there. It was about 6 pages long, but worked really good in court. So I appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Any questions for Chief before he runs? All right. Thank you,
Great
sir.
job.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job.
Yes, so actually there's a two-parter here. So we need to approve the traffic calming request as presented. And then there's also a budget amendment that goes along with that. So we'll need a motion to do, I assume we can do both at the same time. Parks?
Yeah.
We're good with that? Okay, so.
So moved.
All right. All right. Motion made by by Mark, seconded by Alex. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so it is approved, as well as the budget amendment. Okay, all right, well, moving right along, we will go to amended agenda item C8. Chief, come on up.
I broke my pen.
Uh-oh. This is the Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response Grant Request.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Long time no see. So another grant from the fire department, yes. We're going to ask to put in for another grant, so I'll run you through some of the background on this grant because it is a matching grant. So Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response was created to provide funding directly to the fire departments and volunteer fire interest organizations to help them increase or maintain the number of trained frontline firefighters available in their communities. The goal of it's called the SAFER Grant. The goal of the SAFER Grant is to enhance local fire departments' abilities to comply with staffing response operational standards established by the National Fire Protection Association, particularly NFPA 1710, I'm sorry. So 1710 is what relates to the municipal fire departments. It's the standard for organization and deployment of fire suppression operations, special operations by public and career departments. It establishes the minimum recommended staffing and response requirements that pertain to many different types of occupancies. I've listed out 3 in the presentation because it's the 3 that affect the city the most. You got single-family dwellings, 2,000 square feet, initial full first alarm assignments, and single-family dwellings, that 2,000 square feet, that's normal residences just about anywhere. If you look at the grand scheme of things, we have much bigger houses in the city of Belmont, much bigger than 2,000 square feet. So that is just a minimum. Next, you would have the open-air strip shopping centers. We have plenty of those. You look over where Taxco, Aldi, even you can consider Walmart as one of those. Apartments are initial full first alarm assignments, typically 12,000 square feet in each apartment or bigger. So we have tons of those that have shown up as well. So we'll start with the single family dwelling. The house, the residential houses that surround this area. NFPA recommends, 1710 recommends some minimum staffing. Incident command, I'm gonna focus on each one, but I want you to keep in mind the number at the bottom. So when I get to the bottom, let's get to it. When I get to the bottom number, just keep that one in mind as we go through this. They recommend an incident commander outside the area. Interrupted water supply, 400 gallons a minute for 1 person. Effective water flow application consisting of 2 hand lines equaling 300 gallons per minute for 4 people. Support member for each hand line is 2 people. Victim search and rescue team is 2 firefighters. Established ground ladder is 2 firefighters. Aerial device operator is 1 firefighter. Initial rapid intervention crew is 4. The total recommended is 17. Remember that number as we keep going. So we'll switch over to the open air strip shopping center. You're looking at most of these numbers either double or add an additional firefighter. So the total number at the bottom jumps up to 28. Now we're talking open air strip shopping centers here. So then I won't go down each one of those lines, but if you're the only thing it adds there is initial medical care component because there's much more risk for injuries and things of that nature. The apartment initial full first alarm assignment is the same exact number, so the minimum is 28 that they're recommending. The difference between the two from the open air to the apartment is the gallons per minute on your initial water flow lines. If you notice, the effective water flow application is 300 GPMs for the apartments. Back over at the strip shopping center, it's at 500. That's because there's multiple hand lines in place to apply more water, because it's bigger structures. So we're at 17, 28, and 28 for the minimum staffing. Current in the city of Belmont, our staffing is at engine 43 at the main station with 4 assigned with minimum staffing set at 3 on duty. That accounts for vacation, sick time, and military leave, any types of leave. So that at any given time, you may have just 3 people on that company. South Station, you got engine 44, same exact staffing. Assigned for 4. We have to take into account vacation, sick time, and military leave, which could drop us to 3 at any given time. Tower 43 at the main station this council awarded us 8 positions last year to staff that tower. We're currently still in the process of staffing due to training and unable to find folks for the captain's position. But once that is staffed, it'll be the same situation as the other 2 companies at 4 assigned, minimum staffing assigned at 3. During business hours, we have additional 5 on duty with the chief, deputy chief, 2 division chiefs, and an incident safety officer, which means the current on duty 24/7 staffing is 9 with the possibility of 12 if there's no scheduled vacation and or sick time or any other types of leave. So NFPA also says that we can use automatic aid. So what automatic aid is, it's simply if we're dispatched together, they're aiding us automatically, but has to be on the initial dispatch. So to use those automatic aid numbers, to achieve those minimum numbers, we're currently using automatic aid depending on the area of the city by using South Point VFD, New Hope, West Mecklenburg VFD, Cramerton, Community, Mount Holly Engine 33, and Mount Holly Fire Department's ladder truck 34. But with that said, just like the city of Belmont, I'm hesitant to send a city of Belmont fire truck outside of the city when we're strapped because they need to stay inside the city. Those other departments are the same way. So with that also said, their minimum staffing, Mount Holly is, their minimum staffing, I believe, is the same as ours, 3 with 4 assigned, except for the latter, which is 5 with 4 minimum, because they have 2 drivers on that truck, so they require an extra person for that driver position. But the volunteer departments that we're using, most of those minimum staffing is set by the county at 2 per truck. So, and also they're struggling, coming from the volunteer fire service before I come here, all the volunteer departments around are struggling with staffing, and that's a nationwide issue. It's not anything related just to Gaston County, just this area, it's nationwide. So staffing's, it's an issue getting people. So we're requesting to put in for the SAFER grant, which would, if awarded, give us 3 positions. So the operational impacts, if awarded, we could improve response capabilities by improving minimum staffing, fill critical safety functions on the fireground, increase safety, enhanced staffing reduces the risk to firefighters by ensuring proper team size during structure fires aligning with the current NFPA 1710 standard. All right, so now the money part. Financial impacts if awarded. Based on the previous open application announcement, SAFER awards, and the announcement's not open for this year yet. We expect it to open any day now, and it'll have a short window of closing once it opens. Based on the previous open application announcement, SAFER award funded 75% of the annual cost in years 1 and 2, while the recipient was responsible for the remaining 25%. During year 3, SAFER funded 35%, while the recipient was responsible for the remaining 65%. And at the conclusion of the 3-year period, the recipient will become responsible for 100% of the employee costs. Continue on the financial impact. So I took it a step further and kind of laid it out there. So a grade 15 firefighter EMT salary range, $45,657 starting to $73,051 as the top of that salary range. So I figured everything based on the midpoint, which is $59,354. To get to that midpoint, it takes a long time. So this is, I would say, worst case looking here. So they take into account midpoint plus FLSA overtime and city paid benefits. The city costs for what it costs for one firefighter at that midpoint range is $84,678.56 annually. And FLSA overtime, if you're not familiar with that, that is, you have non-FLSA overtime and FLSA overtime. FLSA overtime is anything over the allotted hours. So firefighters work 100, or FLSA, they get overtime anything over 106 hours in a 14-day cycle. So they work 3 pay periods. They're working one at 120, the second one at 120, the third one will be at 90. So there's 2 pay periods where they're over their 106. That's Fair Labor Standards Act overtime. So that's just their normal schedule. That's not working any extra. That's just their normal 24-hour schedule.
So they only get overtime once they hit 100 hours over 106 hours?
106 in a 2-week period, correct. So it's not the typical 80 that you would think is a normal employee. But
is that, just for my own, is that unique to firefighters, or is that?
Firefighters, it's for the 24-hour schedule, and that is an exemption in Fair Labor Standards Act.
Okay.
So yeah, anything over, they're not getting overtime until they're at 106.
Okay.
In that 2-week period, and our guys are getting it. So at any given time in the city, if we've got 36 on duty, 24 of those are getting overtime every week because of that 120. If you lay that schedule out.
Okay.
So years 1 and 2 will fund 75% of the annual cost, minus any non-FLSA overtime, while the city is responsible for 25. So the grant funds, and you can see it up here, years 1 and 2, grant funds would be $63,508.92 per firefighter for a total of $195.26.
It's sort of implicit, but I'm assuming, based on these calculations, that you're thinking of 3 positions?
That's correct, yes, sir.
Yes.
I apologize. 3 positions. Yes. And the city share would be $21,169.64 for a total of $63,508.92. That's the years 1 and 2. Years 3, SAFER will fund 35% of the annual cost, and firefighters minus any non-FLSA overtime. Grant funds would be 35%, which is $29,637.50 for a total of $88,912.50. City share would be $55,041.06 at a total of $165,123.18. That's in the 3rd year. So there would be a cost to the city every year of the grant, but it would step up after year 2.
Chief, let me ask you real quick. In the event, one of these, so we get to year 4, let's say we had the 3, we get to year 4 and we find out just for some reason, I don't foresee this happening, but let's just say for some reason one of those positions was eliminated moving forward. Is there any clawback of the funds that are given to the city from the grant? Like, would we have to repay for not keeping them on a certain amount of time?
Not after the 4th year.
Okay.
I
so
mean, not after the 3rd year.
After the 3rd year, the money's paid and it's good to go. Okay, thank you.
Hope we don't go that route, but
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
So recommendations from staff is to approve the grant as requested by the fire chief. We're using Lexipol, which we've, as the grant writer. So everything's set on go. All we need is you guys okay to send it forward. If not, we'll go back another route and look for another grant, but we've paid the grant writer. That's a 2-year contract with them that we get to use them again next year for a different grant, so.
When would they decide on this grant? When would you expect?
Every year, it's based on funding, based on budget approval. So once the grant's funded, they make the announcement, so it changes a little bit every year. I believe we looked in last year's grant award was July, August.
So let me ask you this, regardless of the grant itself, I would assume there's gonna be a staffing request for the fire department.
Yeah.
From the budget cycle, is that correct, Miles?
I'm not sure, because I don't know if I need to fund a position and then we apply for a grant. I think there's some kind of like, and I don't know if this grant applies, but if you supplant like a funding source and then you apply for a grant, then there's the potential you might not get the grant. So I have to
That's right.
look into that a little bit more, but I think that's the way it would be, that we don't ask for them until we get the answer from SAFER, and at that point we fund the difference. That's kind of how I look at it. I don't want to like have council fund it.
So the grant would come
So
first. is what
without
you're
having it in
saying.
front of me, I'm pretty sure last year's grant announcement said, in the application, it asked, are they budgeted already?
Yeah, because it's
And that's
supplant.
that's
I'm
a,
trying to see if this coincides with our budget proposal, because from what I think we have discussed, and also at the retreat, there's need,
Yeah.
right? Because I believe right now, I don't wanna say understaffed, but is stretched for staffing our apparatus right now. And then, of course, whenever the South Fork or the volunteer station down Peninsula ever becomes, right, an asset to the city as opposed to a volunteer, I would assume we have to staff that as well. Is that kind of where y'all's headspace is?
Yeah, I'm thinking like just going back to the timing piece of it is when we get the word from SAFER, whether we have been awarded the grant. And if that's within the budget process, yeah, we'll go ahead and include it, but I wouldn't include it beforehand at all, yeah.
I think that would be an automatic disqualifier if we had budgeted for it.
Chief, I had a question about the automatic aid process.
Yes, sir.
This is just something I've always been kind of curious about. When you were kind of setting the table about, demand, minimum standards based on the type of fire that you were responding to. So if dispatch gets a call, let's say for a 2,000 square foot single-family home, they know that we need ideally at least 17 firefighters on the ground there, right?
They leave it up to each individual chief. The dispatch center has nothing to do with it. We have what we call call cards.
Okay.
So when a call comes in and an address is punched in,
Yeah.
it automatically recommends us, and then that pulls our call cards. Anybody we've identified to respond with us is then dispatched as well.
And is that call and what other departments you may dispatch?
Yes, sir.
Based on the type of structure you're responding to?
Typically, it's based on call types, not necessarily structure types. So like if it's they will classify, to take it from a 2,000 square foot residential to an apartment, it would be dispatched as a residential structure fire or an apartment fire.
Okay.
And that's where it would plug the different responses.
But I recall you saying that in order to get that automatic aid, the order has to come from the original dispatch, right?
They have to be on the original dispatch. So,
Okay.
and where that comes into play is structure fire. If you remember the ISO lowering recently, that's kind of drives all that. If once we get on scene, ISO comes in and they only pull numbers for any structure fire. So that's the key word in all of it is structure fire. So the minimum requirements by NFPA, not requirements, minimum recommendations, it's not a requirement, it's just a recommendation, is those 17 or those 28 based on whichever. So,
but they're all rolling at the same time.
they're all dispatched at the same time. So our tones go off, their tones go off, all the tones go off in order, in line, and sequence, and then no talking is done until all the tones have been dispatched. So we're all coming at the same time. Now, mutual aid is a little different. That's where we would have to manually pick up the radio, hey, send me South Point Volunteer Fire Department. that we can't count because it's mutual aid and it's not on the automatic dispatch.
I see. Okay, thank you.
So if we have a structure fire now, like, are we sending basically the entire department to that, or like?
Structure
Kinda
fire,
sounds like
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is that, and just as far, like, cause I don't know, like, is that sort of standard practice for a city our size to basically send everybody?
For a structure fire, yes.
Yeah,
Our size, yes.
okay.
So I come from across the river in Charlotte, and over there, you may get 2 or 3 stations, but you still got 44 other stations out there. So
Right.
that's a little different over there, but over here, for the most part, any city with exception of Gastonia, any municipality in Gaston County, their entire department's going when they're dispatched to a structure fire.
Okay.
I know Mount Holly's the same way. All their trucks are coming, all of ours are coming, they're all the same.
And do you get a readout, like when you get the address that comes in, you know immediately, hey, that's a 2,400 square foot house, or that's a 6,000 square foot house?
We can look at a map, and
So-
we know the area pretty good, so yes.
Yeah,
We'll get.
but
we'll
if
get
you're
the map.
understaffed on a 2,000 square foot house, you're definitely gonna be understaffed on a.
More than likely, but we've got more people coming on the
Right.
bigger call, because we would preload more departments and more engine companies and more
Mhm.
ladders on the bigger stuff. On
Mhm.
the call card, the way it's laid out, it's a spreadsheet, the way you lay it out.
Gotcha.
I've always kind of wondered this, but like, so like if we have a fire in Belmont, we need to call in Mount Holly or whoever. Financially, is there like a charge back to us?
No,
for-
sir.
So it's all just,
No,
everybody
that's
just kind of helps
it's
each
an
other?
automatic aid mutual agreement.
Okay.
There's no charge back and forth. Just like we would go to them if they call for
Right,
us.
right, right, yeah, I'm not saying we wouldn't go.
And
I
we
was
do
just- yeah.
regularly, I mean, we do.
Yeah,
that a lot,
yeah,
so.
yeah.
What if that
No,
gets
no,
out
no,
of,
It is across the interstate.
what if
Yeah.
that gets out of balance over time?
Well, that's kind of what I was going at. It's like, because like you have a city that kind of abuses that.
Right.
It's just like, oh, well, we'll
Yeah.
just rely on Mount Holly.
But it's like what we discussed at the retreat, that one time they're not available.
Right.
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah.
Right.
All it takes is that one.
But,
Okay.
you know, we also, speaking of the retreat, I mean, we talked about the North Belmont. I mean, council preliminarily moved forward with funding that. I mean, we're gonna need additional resources, I would assume.
Eventually
to
down the road,
staff
we
that,
will need
right?
that. I think in the short term, we've got what we need to get that station up and functional, but we're still gonna be short the personnel we need. Even if we added that station today with 4 people on that truck, we're still below the 17. So,
Yeah, because that would be that'd be like 12?
at minimum, at
Oh, yeah,
maximum,
at minimum, yeah,
minimum
yeah.
staffing, you'd be at 12.
But then even that'd be 16, right?
Correct.
At max, so you're still short one.
Still short
Yeah.
one.
And based
If
off of,
everybody's there that day.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Oh,
They-
yeah.
based off y'all's research, is this one of the more advantageous financially, like grants out there, I guess you could say, with adding
It
additional
is.
resources?
For staffing, yes, sir.
Yeah, this is probably the best one for staffing.
And I know, the grant writer, Lexapol, the grant
Yeah.
writer, the chief who is writing the narrative made some recommendations to us, and he said we look like we stand a pretty good chance with the infrastructure we have around here and the needs. So it's like a 6-page narrative he's up to already for the grant, so.
Wow.
That's good. Tell the story.
I don't know if it's good, right?
Well, I hope so. I hope it's a good story.
You may have mentioned this, but who actually funds this?
Emergency management, FEMA. It's a
Oh,
FEMA
okay,
grant.
so it's a federal grant. Okay.
It is federal. So there were 2 more grants that were on consent tonight, the fire protection and safety and the assistance to firefighters. All 3 of those are FEMA grants. They all announced at about the same time, so.
Okay.
Hope they're busy.
We can
No,
also
Lexapol
lean
grant
on our,
writer, they found
That's
all
right.
those.
Yeah.
we can also lean on our local congressman for support there. He's been busy with passing out
Yeah, that's
checks.
Sure.
Any more questions for the chief? Chief, thank you. We
Thank you.
appreciate you, and thank you
Thank
for
you, Chief.
continuing to burden all these grants. We
Yeah,
appreciate that.
absolutely.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, so any more discussion or motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve as presented.
Second. Yep. Motion made by Alex, seconded by Charlie. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, passes. All right, very good. Well, thank you, everyone. Let's move on to agenda item D, other business. So we will start with Alex.
Nice. First of all, thanks again to staff, Miles, everyone for the retreat. I felt like that was very productive. One that I can say that I talked to my colleagues, left very excited for the future of Belmont. So a lot of fun things happening. Just a comment, last month, so earlier February, I participated or was selected, as I had mentioned, from the GCL-MPO to represent Gaston County, Lincoln County, Cleveland County as a delegate with our counterparts in Charlotte. So Reagan was there as well, representing our area. So a lot of positive feedback. We have another meeting in March, but Charlotte, the big focus was let's stop talking and let's start prioritizing regional projects and getting the funding, particularly AKA Catawba Crossing, across the finish line. And from our perspective in Gaston County, it's explaining to our counterparts over there that this benefits you. People don't want to come and work in downtown Charlotte right now because of the lagging infrastructure. So there's a lot of positive communication happening. Again, we're meeting in March. We had a little bit of homework based off of some new legislation being passed, but hoping to report more positive things from there. But outside of that, Mayor, that's all I have.
Alex, I know to add to that, James Estes mentioned that Congressman Moore's office has an interest in participating in some of those discussions.
That would be amazing. And Reagan, I don't know if that's something I can reach out to Tori at the MPO and ask her to extend, because that was one of the conversations. We're like, we need our state or delegation here, but if we can get at the federal level, that would be huge.
Yeah, it's going to take it. I think
Good
every
point,
bit of it.
Jason.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alex.
Yep.
Charlie?
Just real quick, echoing what Alex said, hats off to all staff for the retreat. I feel like we got a lot accomplished, and that was one of the better retreats that I've been a part of. So thank you to everybody for that. And that's pretty much all I got.
All right. Mark?
Sure. Yeah, well, not to beat a dead horse, but the retreat was great. I've definitely been to some where I didn't want to be there, and this was not one of them. So thank you for that. As much as I miss the little sticker exercises that we did forever.
Those can come back.
Yeah, no, that's not necessary.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah. So I was at Kevin Lofton Park yesterday because the weather was amazing, and noticed that there's that, I don't think this is news to anyone, but there's that section of the playground where there's that erosion issue. It's basically just kind of like muddy right now. If you go over there, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know what we can do about that, if we can do anything about that. But as I was sitting there making sure that my children more or less behave themselves, I noticed we have the benches that are all outside the fence. And it looked like there were a number of parents that were actually sitting on the ground inside the fence. So I'm thinking, well, we got this dead space here. Maybe we could put a couple benches or something in there. I don't know. You guys are the experts. I'll just kind of throw that out there as maybe something to think about. But it seems like there's something better we could do with that space just to kind of at least make it look a little bit nicer.
Okay.
And then the other thing, I've gotten a couple questions about these flock cameras going up around town. I don't know if it would be possible to have maybe a presentation at some point from the police department about what those are, how we're using them, and then particularly kind of walking through the data aspect of it, like how we're using that data, who else might have access to that data. Would just be kind of interested in sort of like a high level discussion about those. And that is it.
Thank you, Mark. Jason?
I would just echo my colleagues' sentiments about the retreat. Miles, I think you and staff did an excellent job with keeping us moving along. We had a lot of really good presentations, some exciting developments, and I'm excited for what this year. Hopefully by the time we get to December, we've made a lot of ground on some really exciting projects. So I also want to compliment Jonathan and his staff. I know that in addition to some of the big projects that they're undertaking right now, that they've been really busy with some of the pothole repair, and I know Charlie's been on top of that too. And so know that that's a kind of a never-ending job during this part of the year. So appreciate you guys getting out and on top of that right away.
Thank you. Jim?
I would also like to thank the staff and Miles for an excellent retreat, very productive. Sort of in keeping with the discussion about the mural that we had earlier, it's been brought to my attention that other jurisdictions in the county are contemplating special events for America 250, and it's been asked, well, is Belmont doing anything? We're going to have a mural, and we're going to have the red, white, and Belmont on July 3rd, but maybe we could see if there's anything else special that we wanted to do to commemorate that. 250 years because, like has been alluded to, some of us are probably not going to be around for the 300. So.
Don't count yourself out just yet.
Well,
you're in good shape,
Joe. I will not be here for that one, I can tell you that.
We could possibly collaborate with Susan Martello and the American Legion.
That's where my thought went.
Yeah.
But I just think that, well, what's Belmont doing? Some people have been asking, and I don't know if we've really talked about it, and I guess such plans would have to come together fairly quickly at this point, but maybe we should see what we could do.
I do have, I printed out the things that we're doing. So if you go to www.historicbelmont.com, there's actually like Historic Belmont Celebrates America 250. And it's, if you kind of scroll down, you can see like what the county's doing, but then it also goes to like events in the city of Belmont. And so it starts like in March where it says Revolutionary Music at Belmont Abbey, gives the date, what's going on there. April, there's a Living History Day at the Garibaldi Festival from Historical Society. The summer of 2026, it actually already lists the new mural in downtown Belmont, so they were predicting the future.
It's a good thing we approved.
Well, no, they were going to do it anyway.
Would've been odd.
They were going to do it anyway.
Predicting the future there. June, they have the Belmont Juneteenth celebration where there's certain things that's going on downtown at that point. In July, of course, Red, White, and Belmont on July 3rd, and the Gaston 250 parade where the town of Dallas will be holding the parade where they're actually asking for like a float, I believe, so that you all can ride on the float for the city of Belmont if you'd like to do that. So I think we need to find out, how to rent the
Why are
floats.
you looking at me?
You
Put your name all over it,
I
Jim.
need 2 seats for Parks and Miles.
I think I'm gonna be on vacation. The November, the Veterans Celebration at Stowe Park, so they're planning something there as well. So there are certain things, I don't know if we've probably not done a good job to get this out, so maybe we can start sharing, like, here are the things that are taking place.
At least,
seems like there's
at least
a lot
in
of
the month
input.
that it's going to occur.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe a list and like a snapshot of the date of all the events, right?
Yeah.
Just a
we have the
one-pager.
boards in downtown.
I was going to say the kiosk, yeah.
And the
We
kiosk,
include
yeah,
that.
now they're both up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We can maybe do a page just for 250.
Don't overload them. We don't want them to break again.
Yeah, be
They're,
careful
as of
with that.
today, they're
Tap
functioning.
gently.
So,
Or take advantage of them while they still work.
yeah. Thank you, Jim, for that. That is timely, for sure. Thank you.
That's all I do.
All right, so I'll finish it up, and like everyone else, that was my first retreat, and it was enjoyable, and I enjoyed seeing my colleagues take direction and take leadership, and continue to push everything forward.
And you were
So-
so efficient. You did it quicker than I did.
Well-
but you were helped by the fact that the last presentation went quicker.
Miles, he was very succinct,
Yes.
but he got all the information across. That was all that mattered.
Time to get out of there.
But it was good. I did enjoy it. It was. I came away, like Alex was saying, I came away excited about things to come. So really
And
excited.
good job to you too. I
Yeah.
mean, that wasn't
Yes.
mentioned, but you did an exceptional job.
I agree.
Leading the meeting, starting out with the vision. I thought that was a nice piece to it. So you did a great job.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. Okay, so just a couple quick things. The Knights takeover. So the Charlotte Knights are doing a town takeover, and that is on May 30th, and it's going to be for Belmont. So we're currently working to have a color guard from Belmont, have national anthem sung by Belmont. Yours truly will attempt to throw out the first pitch.
Oh, I
We'll
thought you were
see.
going to sing.
No. I would rather attempt the first pitch than sing.
From the rubber.
That's
From the-
absolutely
yeah,
will
there you
happen from the rubber. Absolutely. I've already been
Overhanded.
warned. I've been warned. But I think there's some information that's going out on the social media from the city. So there's a QR code to get tickets. So I would love to see a lot of people come from
Yeah, that'd
Belmont
be cool.
and show up.
Like I mentioned, you've got a coach in here that could probably give you some
That's
pointers
right.
on
Yeah,
that.
that's right. He's already working on a few things for me. So maybe we can get that one added to the list.
Have you found a color guard yet?
I think we're talking to South Point ROTC.
South Point's ROTC.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. So just see if that works out. But there should be more information on that coming
Okay.
soon. All right, again, that's May 30th. Just real quickly, a couple meetings. So just to refresh the Main Street meeting, just want to let y'all know. So there's a couple vacancies large vacancies in downtown that are going to be coming up. Piccolo being one of the big ones. I know there's a lot of interest in that, so I'm excited to see what comes in there. I don't think we know what it's going to be yet, but right now it is gutted, it is empty, and that moved quick. I think in like a week and a half, they probably hauled off 50 dumpster. It was unbelievable. Now it's just a big open space, so a lot of good things could happen there. I'm excited about that. A lot moving in downtown right now. Obviously, the mural was a big discussion, and Main Street is also in the throes of getting all of the downtown events on the schedule for this year. So there's a lot going on, talking about concerts, everything else, but they're working hard to get that entertainment brought into our downtown that we all enjoy. Trolley board, I'm lucky to sit in on that as well. A lot of really, really good excitement there. A lot of discussion about the property transfer that was keyed up to happen, so excited to see what happens there, and appreciate Rob inviting me to be in on that. And then, let's see, tomorrow morning is the Town and Gown, the meeting with Belmont Abbey that we do monthly. Feel free if anyone would like to join me. I will be there. It is 9 o'clock, and it is it's in Stowe Hall. If you walk in, someone will see you and point you to the right direction. But again, really excited about seeing that relationship come closer. That's it for me. So I don't think there's anything else to see, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Alex for the motion.
Second.
Second by Jason. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?